You don't play the same game I do? Duh. Aren't we in a commercial? Duh. Alright, so had to reset because the throttling is just ridiculous at this point. You know, that or those numbers that I have in the thumbnail that are from a couple weeks within the week or two before Charlie Kirk was kirked. Before Charlie was kirked. 9,000 views, 16 new subscribers, blah blah blah, all that shit. I used to be interesting. The day after Charlie got kirked, I was.
What was that?
Why does that shit keep happening and you just keep saying, oh, nothing?
Nothing happened.
What was it? Nothing. Put your high voice away. I mean, just think about what's happening here. Make it make sense. Outside of I'm a huge threat to the system. They fear me, so they censor the shit out of me in ways that you don't see happen to anyone else. Other than that shit, right? No idea who that is. If you know who they are, you're supposed to. It's gotten to that point for me.
Passengers will be tested for the virus once the ship docks.
Oh, notice how so we were talking about this is from. I'm trying to find Angela Actor. What the fuck?
We got him. Rest now, brother, and I'll see you in Valhalla. Was never my
Bracing for the arrival of the Grand Princess.
Okay, so
United States
this is
bracing.
This is from 2020, I would assume. Yeah, 20. When that cruise ship in San Francisco was the big deal. And so pay attention to the details because one of the things they say is the 3,500 passengers aboard. So the ship, she's going to say the ship was stranded for 5 days out at sea. And now it's going to go, and it ends up spending, I believe it's either 2 months or almost 2 months in the San Francisco harbor. 3,500 passengers. It's a cruise ship. It's not particularly like a family kids cruise ship. It's an older person's cruise ship. There probably are some kids and families there, but that's not what they specialize in. And so you have lots and lots of elderly on board. I would imagine unless you're on a cruise ship specifically like for younger people, going to be elderly people who are retired, who have the money to be doing this, who don't have kids that they have to pay for and all that shit. I have 0 viewers and 0 likes, and yet somebody's still commenting. So, how much extra? So if you know anything about the service industry, and granted, I know little. I'm not saying I'm some expert, right? But if what cruise ships do, what airplanes do, what lots of things that specialize in travel and come. The director is very good at his job. And so they don't have a bunch of extra. They literally have just enough of everything to make it through the entire cruise. And after every day that more and more stuff is used, the ship is lighter, it's more profit for the company to not be, bogged down with a whole bunch of extra supplies and what you do. So by the end of any cruise, the cruise ship doesn't have endless supplies of food on it. It doesn't have endless supplies of toilet paper and just all of it. It's just not, that's not how they operate. Every cruise ship has a finite space that they can use. And the director's job is to take advantage and to manipulate things so that they can make every possible cent. If they make 10 cents more, they want to do it. And so the idea that this ship had already been at sea for 5 days, how were they feeding all 3,500 passengers and crew? And as I was saying beforehand, when you go on vacations, you don't take your full supply of medication. You never know what can happen. You don't want to lose it. You always want to leave medication at home so when you need to, you can get home and get it. Or if somebody needs to send it to you, they can, or something like that. But you don't take your full prescription. So after 5 days, I mean, I would assume you taking an extra 5 days worth of medication would be a stretch. But for you to have an extra 2 months worth of medication on you, it is impossible, because most prescriptions have to be filled once a month, right? So how were they, because you didn't hear them address this in any way.
You didn't let the dog in?
You didn't hear them ever address, Nick, let him in. Okay, well, let him back in. You don't see this. You're not seeing the steps necessary. I mean, we should probably be sending them out here soon, right? Once it stops snowing, I guess. Or how much is it supposed to snow today?
I don't know. I didn't even know it was supposed to snow today.
I had a feeling it was. That's why last night I put the wipers up at the last minute. But like, to think about, like, how did they facilitate that? How did they accommodate all of the people's needs for their medications? And these people were ended up on board the ship for 2 months. Well, what about their jobs? Did they keep their jobs? What about those that were, a couple that saved up and went on an anniversary cruise and had, kids at home? What about all the people that had pets at home? What about their homes themselves, their apartments, their rent, their light bills, their phone bills, their cars, all that shit? The car that they brought and parked at the park in ride, or where you park your car for the time you're gone and you come back, you pay a substantial, $30-$50, whatever. But every day that you don't get your car, they add a charge to. So how did that work? Was everything just forgiven? Anybody that was aboard that ship, the government called their jobs, called their rental offices, called the electric companies and all that, and was like, hey, don't shut this shit off. Did the government pay them? Did people just not have to get paid for that time? I mean, again, this isn't like conspiracy theory, right? This is just sort of like common sense questioning. You're presenting me with a narrative, and I'm not capable of just believing your narratives, especially when, it's the same people that tell me Israel is the good guy, is the victim. So, but it wouldn't matter who it is. It could be my wife. My wife will tell you flat out. If she tells me something that doesn't make sense to me, or I don't understand, I don't just go, okay. I'll ask questions. Even if it pisses her off, I'm still going to ask questions. And more than anything, I'm going to find the hole in it and point that out. That's why she believes in rocks and crystals and shit and won't talk to me about it. Because she says, well, you just go into it trying to pick everything apart. And it's like, that's how I have to go into it to be able to believe it. I have to answer for everything I can find that's wrong and make sense of it. Otherwise, what am I doing? I might as well just be a Christian if I'm going to have faith in shit. And I would imagine, you know, from her perspective, it's probably pretty frustrating. Because she wants to believe in what she believes in. But the reality is she's too smart. She's too smart to believe that shit. She's too smart to either not have the same questions I have, or maybe she didn't have those questions. But if I have the questions and I ask the question and she can't answer it, it's going to bug her. She's too smart to just overlook shit. So I would imagine that's frustrating. I mean, I see it all the time on here. It's frustrating to people that you know, think if they come in and they say the same thing that 100 other people have said, but because they said it, I should just be like, oh, okay. Dude, you always say you want people to disagree with you and tell you what you're getting wrong. And then when we do, you respond to it. Because, you know, I only believe shit that I have one argument for. If you can deal with my one argument, and not even really deal with it, if you just say something, I'm not supposed to have any arguments to the contrary. I'm just supposed to go, oh, okay, because you said it, because you're you, and boy, are you awesome.
The arrival of the Grand Princess. That's a cruise ship carrying at least 21 patients with COVID-19. It's set to dock in Oakland after spending 5 days stranded at sea off San Francisco.
How would they know that there's 21 people with COVID? Like, the ship didn't have COVID detectors and COVID tests on it, so how would they fucking know? Back then, you used to have to, like, you'd go through the process. You'd get your you know, your thing shoved all the way up to your brain. COVID is the most contagious, deadliest thing to ever hit the United States, ever hit the world. And yet the only way they can test for it is by sticking something way, way up into your nose. Something that, if you're cynical like me, and say you understand how cocaine works, you know that next to injection, the best way to get something immediately into one's bloodstream is to snort it, because the nasal passages are so thin that immediately things transfer into your bloodstream, almost like you were shooting it. Not quite, but almost. And so, strangely enough, things like swine flus and all that other stuff, they don't transfer from animals to humans. The only way you can actually get something like that is if it bypasses your defenses and gets directly into your bloodstream. So what I noticed right in the beginning of COVID is you had the controlled opposition side of things telling people that as long as they don't get the shot, they'll be okay. Not telling people, don't you dare let them stick that thing up your nose. You have no idea what that is, especially considering over 200,000 tests came back of the original test. Every time I say it, I said 100,000, you said it was 200,000.
No, it was 250.
Now you're saying it's 250.
No, 250. It was always 250. $250,000. Always.
$250,000 of the first COVID tests that were given out were contaminated. Contaminated with what?
Oops.
We don't know,
And
but they were contaminated.
They didn't tell us that till June.
Oh, they told us that way later than that.
No, it was June. It was June, and they said it. The story came out, and then it was gone within like 2 days. Never brought up again.
And more than 3,500 passengers and crew are on board. All passengers will be tested for the virus once the ship docks. And those who are ill will be taken off first, while everyone else will serve a compulsory 2-week quarantine at a government facility. The whole process.
You will be taken to a government facility for a 2-week mandatory, compulsory separation, isolation. Can you imagine how scary that would be? I knew a guy used to come on my Facebook live feed. His uncle, this guy's name was Brad Lee, Bradley, so who knows what his real name is. And he was generally a supporter. And his uncle was supposedly interviewed regarding this. Uncle was on the ship and was interviewed and was talking about, I just want to get some beers or something like that. He's a guy with an Australian accent, this, that, and the other. And so I had what I thought was like a window in, and I said, hey, is there any way your uncle would be willing to come on here and just put some of our fears to rest, right? Squash the conspiracy theory. He was there, he was interviewed. The footage is there, him talking, being interviewed about. So have him come in and just sort of, answer a few questions. What it was like. What was it? Where'd they go for quarantine? How did their bills get paid? And for some strange reason, the guy refused. And this wasn't some square guy. He was that party guy. Yeah, woo. He was the guy that when interviewed by the news was like, I just want to get some beers. So he's not the guy that's all shy and doesn't want any sort of attention. And back then I was allowed to have decent views, so he would have spoke to a really decent audience. And yet, it not only did it not work out, Brad, who had been a daily supporter, started falling off. And I'm still technically friends with Brad, I guess. Man, to think about all the guys that used to be, all the different characters that were regulars at one time and then got Goyimized, and, like they love what I do until I do what I do to the thing they believe in. Then I'm being unreasonable. Then I'm being a dickhead. And that happens so frequently that it's gotten to the point where I just really don't trust anybody. Like it's not that I don't trust. I trust that you're going to be like everyone else. Right? I don't trust that you're going to do something different. I trust that you're going to be like everyone else is, and you're going to do what everyone else always does. I don't have high expectations of people. And I've had so many people do that. I can't even think of the people. Derek, remember that Derek guy who claimed like he had Asperger's or some shit once he started looking stupid? And he had that crazy girlfriend. Oh, man. There were so many people. Christy Moreno and shit.
Is expected to take several days.
Oh.
What is the sneakiest hero to put?
That was that, huh? So, this is the video I was watching before I went into the COVID thing. And because it is connected. So, look at this narrative that's presented to us. This is the first Israeli hostage, even though I will die on the hill that no Israelis were killed or taken hostage on October 7th, and that it was a false flag operation. If anybody was killed, they were killed by Hannibal Directive things, because of the Hannibal Directive. But I don't think any of them were even killed. So this is the freed hostage shakes hands. The title is this is Inside Edition. Freed hostage shakes hands with Hamas captors.
extraordinary moment as a freed Israeli hostage shakes hands with a Hamas terrorist who held her captive.
Shalom.
Happened as
Shalom.
85-year-old
Oh,
David
yes.
Lipschitz and
Lipschitz.
79-year-old Marie Cooper were handed over to the Red Cross. Just hours later.
What would be the benefit to taking an 84-year-old hostage?
No benefit.
If you
Sounds
notice,
like a whole lot of extra trouble.
right, if you notice something like consistent with Israeli narratives, it's that it's almost always elderly victims. People who, if they died naturally, you'd be like, oh, that's sad, but they were 84 years old, right? Like, you know, you won. If you get to 84, you won. And yet, whether it's the synagogue shooting in Philadelphia here, the Hanukkah attack, the other shooting 6 months into the day later in California, the hostage situation where all 4 hostages escaped, situation that in 2021 that I didn't hear about till I looked into it. It doesn't matter which one it is. It's always elderly people. Like the time that they did use a young girl was she had been so traumatized she could only whisper. So she would have to whisper all of her answers to her dad, and then her dad would tell us what she said. Have you ever heard of that in your life? Have you ever heard of somebody being so scared they can only whisper? No. That's like Prince Andrew being so traumatized that he couldn't sweat for a short period of time. That his body's fucking natural systems of heat regulation stopped working. That's why it couldn't have been him in that picture, because he didn't sweat. Like, I'm sorry, but I don't think there's anything wrong. Like, you see this all the time with people when they say, "Are you calling me a liar? Are you saying I'm lying?" Like, people don't lie all the time. Like, everybody doesn't lie all the fucking time. You don't want to hurt somebody's feelings, so you, oh yeah, no, this is good, and you eat it. Somebody asks you if this outfit looks good. You're like, yeah, it looks good, man. It looks terrible, but you sit here talking about you believe in a sky daddy, God, and Jesus. You don't believe in that shit. You say you do, but you don't. If you believed in that shit, you'd live a different life. But to me, if I'm going to, like the synagogue shooting, 11 people were killed. The average age is like 76 years old. And the only reason it's that low is because there were 2 retarded guys, 2 brothers, whose parents had just died, and they'd become a ward of the state. So they became the state's problem. And they were 59 and 61 years old. And they were the youngest people killed in the synagogue shooting that happened on a Sunday. There's so many little pieces to this where, I mean, like, why do you... I'm not the bad guy for asking a question. I'm not the bad guy for saying, hey, listen, I want to believe what you're saying, but there are some inconsistencies in the narrative. So if you could just answer those inconsistencies, I'll believe you. Here you go. Here's some more of it. So this is the 80-something-year-old woman who had 2 weeks prior had been taken hostage, violently taken hostage on a motorcycle, where I guess the way they're saying it, her feet were on one side and her ass was on, she was sitting like this on the back of it. Where, like, I guess her knees, she was holding on by her knees. Like, isn't that part hot? And there are a lot of hot parts.
There's a lot of hot. I don't put my legs anywhere near any of that.
Right. Your legs go in a very specific spot so that, it's designed so that you don't touch the hot parts. But not only was this 84-year-old woman sitting like this, she was holding on as they were escaping a hostage. Like, she got taken hostage on the back of a motorcycle, you guys. Do you not see how insultingly stupid that is? And where did the motorcycles come from? The reason why they were able to get through what they got through, because they used the paragliders. The paragliders to bypass the wall that is around the area. So where did these motorcycles all come from? I mean, as crazy as the paraglider situation is, I really do think this is the dumbest part of it. Like, an old lady held on to the back of a motorcycle so she could be kidnapped. I would love to see how many stories in history, how many kidnappings resulted from someone on a motorcycle taking somebody with them. Especially some elderly lady that's in a wheelchair. And notice, don't pay attention to the daughter, because again, she can't do the talking for herself. The daughter's doing it. And boy, that's an appropriate tattoo for her nurse to have, just showing. Look at that shit. Look at the nurse's arm tat. You're telling me that wouldn't be covered up? That's really interesting. You're being anti-Semitic again. You have to stop it. I'm not a robot. You're dumb, because how am I being anti-Semitic? Do you not know what words mean? I always love the opportunity to educate stupid people on what words mean, especially when they're using them incorrectly. But the only Semitic people in this entire conflict are the Palestinians. And clearly, I'm not anti-Palestinian. Right? So if you're going to use the words, use them correctly. And what I am is proud of my anti-supremacy, anti-Semitism. Because Semitism is supremacy. Semitism is policy or predisposition favorable to Jews. Policy being the rules and regulations, but predisposition is the real key. Because predisposition has to do with genetic programming. If your family all has cancer, you have a predisposition to cancer. There's nothing you can do about it. You can live the best life you can possibly live, and more than likely you're going to get cancer. That's what predisposition means. So when your group demands that the rules and regulations, the policy, and the predisposition is favorable to them, what other one word summary would you give it? How else could you summarize that phrase in one word? Loving? No. Compassionate? No. Tolerant? No. No, it's none of it, right? It's supremacy. And so look at this broad's face. You tell me this is a woman who had literally just been released from a 2-week captivity with the horrible Hamas, who, according to her, they beat her with a wooden pole and stole all her jewelry. But they treated her well. And they were kind. Doesn't she look like a woman who's been beaten with a wooden pole? 2 weeks, within 2 weeks, that she was so violently taken hostage. Don't you see so many clear-cut marks and bruises and scratches and all that on her, right? Nope.
Mrs. Lifshitz, looking frail,
Lifshitz.
sat in a wheelchair and told reporters about her harrowing ordeal.
Looking frail and fucking special. Look at.
With her body, with her legs on one side and her heart on another.
She doesn't even look like she's there.
She went through hell in the early stages of her captivity. She was beaten with a wooden pole, and her jewelry was stolen. She was separated from her 83-year-old husband. Who
That's a completely different picture.
Finally, she was taken into the labyrinth of
tunnels beneath Gaza.
A few kilometers on the wet ground. There are
on the wet ground.
Of tunnels underneath. It looks like a spider web. My mom said that she was with about 25 hostages.
She didn't know how many?
Treated well,
in 2 weeks?
that the people were kind to her.
She was treated well?
What is the story of other prisoners?
She said each hostage had one guard who ate meals with them, pita bread, soup, and cheese, and they were given medicine and toiletries. The surprise
Medicine and toiletries.
Propaganda win for Hamas, including by some relatives of other hostages.
Wait. This is a propaganda win for Hamas?
I don't know how.
How? How?
It's a game. As if to show they're showing the world how compassionate they are.
Former Green Beret David
Wait, that guy had an Australian accent. He can't be too Semitic if he has an Australian accent, can he?
Joe is a hostage rescue expert.
Israel still has their work cut out trying to figure out where these hostages are and how to get them out of there.
Well, that was that was an expert. Israel still has their work cut out for him trying to figure out where these hostages are and how to get them out of there. That was his expert opinion. So, if they don't know where they are, what sense would it make to drop bombs everywhere? And if they have this labyrinth of tunnels, why not just go into the tunnels and follow them? Doesn't make any sense. I'd love to see this proof of these tunnels, because every time they claim that there's tunnels and all that, and they're going to invade a hospital and you know, fuck a bunch of innocent patients up and all that, it's because there's supposedly a tunnel network underneath that hospital and probably like some sort of headquarters. And yet, they never seem to find it.
There are loud protests here outside the UN headquarters in New York today, calling on the international community to help free the remaining hostages.
What? Oh, thank you. So you have these protesters out here calling on the international community to free the remaining hostages, not the poor Palestinian people who have been hostages for 70 plus years. They don't fucking count. Gotta free the chosen hostages because, you know, well, they're just so much better and more important than anyone else's. I mean, they are fucking chosen. I mean, you guys all know your place, right? You know your position in things. According to your Bible, if you're not chosen, you're a slave. And you're cool with that. You like that narrative, right? Yeah, I'm just a slave. I'm just a slave. I'm just a slave to behave. That's all that you let me be. 'Cause I'm just a slave. Let's see. Comments, right? The comments are, woman says Hamas was kind. News reporter, she went through hell. Says, you're a liar. She didn't say she went through hell or beaten with a wooden pole. Insane moment. what I don't remember, if they were all animals, why did this woman shake the hand of the Hamas guy? Let's see the replies. She actually said they treated her right. Propaganda, my friend, that's how they work. That's why you're eating up. That's what you're eating up. Spoken like a true Zionist. What? This was the moment that no one could stage. In this moment, she turned around to thank him for treating her like a son would treat his mother. And the mainstream media can't handle this. They're all going crazy. She was beaten with a wooden pole and had her jewelry stolen. Daughter, moments later, she was treated well. You won't shake the hands of someone who beat you. Western media is crazy. This is disgusting reporting, especially with the full interview already out there that contradicts this report. Thank God for the networks that still operate with integrity. What's the true report? She never said she was beaten. You have to watch the full video, 1 hour long. Sure, let's just forget about the fact that Hamas entered Israel and unalived literally hundreds of civilians. You think this interaction means anything? Sorry, responding. It's interesting to see these comments because it's clearly the people aren't responding like we're supposed to. I was treated well and she was beaten with a wooden pole. Don't match. Someone's lying and I think I know who. So difficult to know what is really going on. Not really. I don't see any bruises on her. I do see her making sure she thanked them and said goodbye. We don't know what she said if we don't hear her words, but we can see with our own eyes. None of that was propaganda. What the voices at the end was. If it's propaganda, she wouldn't raise her hand to handshake Hamas fighter. They treat her good as well as previous hostage. They all look in good condition. I mean, again, it's like people see it, but they only see part of it. You know, why do you assume it's Hamas? Why do you assume she was taken hostage? What sense does that make that you would literally an event that essentially leads to the genocide of your people and you go through and you do what it takes to supposedly take all these hostages on the back of your motorcycles and shit. Why would you treat them well? Why would you make empty threats like we're going to start killing them if you don't stop bombing us? So Israel responds with, nobody tells us what to do. We're going to bomb you even more. And you don't kill anybody. What is the purpose of taking hostages if you're not going to make it work for you in any way whatsoever? Like literally the hostage situation only worked out to the negative for them. God damn it. This only makes sense if it's fake. If it's a worked narrative. If it's a bunch of people behind the scenes who have never actually experienced what they're talking about, yet they're tasked with creating the narrative. And that's what I think you see with
I am in here.
With so much of our history. Hey, buddy boy. I think when you see narratives given to us like the Civil War narrative, where you're told that, and literally every sort of Braveheart narrative you can find, where you're told that the only way people knew how to battle back in the day was to form a great big long line and then run towards the people shooting at you. Hopefully they run out of bullets before you run out of men. And I call that the bag of sand theory, because it reminds me of the 40-year-old virgin. And in the movie The 40-Year-Old Virgin, the shoe drop moment, the real part that sets the movie in motion, is when all the guys are sitting around having conversations, you know, like guys do, where we're like, yeah, she's hot and blah, blah, and I like titties and stuff. And finally the ball gets passed to him and he goes, you know, and it's something happens and they're like, wait, what? And they ask him, well, what's a titty feel like? And he says, a bag of sand. Because that's the only thing his fucking virgin ass can come up with. That's I guess sort of what it kind of maybe looks like a little bit. I don't know. How would you describe a titty? I don't know. They feel different. Some of them feel different than others. But that was the giveaway. That was that thing that showed you who he really was. That he wasn't what you thought he was. And I think these bag of sand moments are all over the place. We just don't realize it as it's happening. But I you know, the bag of sand is, again, when you hear about, you know, 1st Battalion, line up, go, 2nd Battalion, like, what a terrible strategy that is. And for that to be the standard strategy, basically up until the Vietnam War, when guerrilla warfare tactics were suddenly a thing, and the Native Americans to some extent, but that's because the rich friar kids in charge of programming the chat GPT on how the fuck the outcome, you know, to write out this narrative, they were tasked with telling a war story and they had no idea what war is like. So instead you get these narratives where, you know, the guy they all had pencil and paper on them. So when they got mortally wounded on the battlefield, they could write a love letter to their, you know, a final letter to their family or whatever. And then at nighttime there was a truce so they could go clean up the battlefield so they could do it again tomorrow. And whatever you do, don't ask how they were feeding all of those soldiers. How did the Confederacy like even exist? Who was sewing all those uniforms? Where were they getting all their materials and shit from? Think about what you think the 1850s looked like, and then apply the narrative you're told. Ghost Samurai. It's only been a while because you haven't been here. Have you not been told I was live, or did you just say, I don't give a fuck?
Hostages. In this poignant display, shoes are placed next to the posters of each hostage. I spoke with Alana.
Shoes and hostages. Isn't it weird how shoes are always what they use? Do you remember the supposed hoax pictures? Like the evidence that there was a genocide and they'd show you a huge ass pile of shoes. Remember that picture?
Yes.
Like that proves anything?
We have shoe tree stories here too.
I mean, it's what they do. They're not, I'm telling you, they're not smart. They're not in the position they're in because of their incredible intelligence. It's because of the manipulation program that was given to them. And that they do a really good job of, or at least they did, do a really good job of instilling into Americans from the time that they're born. Because their parents immediately, like, you're a baby, you just came out, your eyes are barely working, but they can. And you're starting to put those voices to the images. You know, you heard certain voices that while you were in the womb, and now you're seeing, and what you're seeing is the people over you doing crazy ritual shit. Oh, ritual, ritual, ritual. Got to go get you baptized. And we don't even want to talk about the circumcision. Been going through a messy time with Fayette County, Georgia courthouse. They went on high alert with extra sheriff's deputies saying I'm a threat. For what?
It's like Ago?
Mm-mm. Is it because you're a samurai?
6 of her family members are being held by Hamas.
6 of her
including twin
family.
sisters Emma and Julie.
Oh.
Children in Gaza right now in the hands of evil.
Yeah, and you just got yourself all looking nice and put on your outfits and your jewelry and your makeup so you could come to a protest. Right? Your entire family is taken, including your twin little girls. And you're going to a thing to what? Peachtree City Covenant of Witches here in Fayette County, Georgia, took off their website online. I don't know what you're talking about now. What I know is that anybody that claims to be witches is not the bad guy. More than likely, anyone that claims to be a coven of witches is very much like in tune with the earth, you know, more than likely wants to be left alone, wants to help people. You know, I've experienced my fair share of witches in my day, more than any of you have, I guarantee it. And not once have I met one where I'm like, oh, now that's a bad person. That there's a chomo. That there's a violent, you know,
Deviant.
horrible person. Like the thing that pops to my head as to like what would really freak people out is Vivian. Vivian would scare the shit out of you, and Vivian is like, I think Vivian is extremely dangerous if you back Vivian into a corner. And there's no other option, and Vivian has to protect themselves. I think Vivian would do some severe damage to you if need be. Outside of that, no threat whatsoever. They are into child sacrifice, guy. This thing is oh, are they? Are they?
You know, that's funny. I've heard that so many times.
Out of all of the groups in this world that are provably associated with violating children and sacrifice and all that shit, witches are the last of them.
Protectors of the children.
I just don't buy that. The judge entered my YouTube video talking about trying to shoot a witch 3 times, but divines stopped the bullets. What are you even talking about at this point? You sound like a nutcase. You're trying to shoot a witch? Look, this is it. Look, let's just say this coven is this anomaly, this enigma coven, right? The only way you actually do something about it is to legally, you know, destroy the thing. make it so they're not able to legally operate like anybody else would. And so you have to ask yourself then, why isn't the system doing something about it? And the only way you can eliminate these little fringe cults or whatever you're obsessed with here is by eliminating the control scheme. So why would you again focus on some tentacle? Like, I guarantee you have a Catholic church in your area. Do you honestly think this witches cult, this witches coven has hurt more kids than the church in your area? Oh, schizo babble, yep. Schizo babble as always. I'm a schizo. You notice how literally everyone that talks their shit comes from the same perspective. They can't actually engage in any of the conversations. They just claim it's all crazy, mental crazy issues. No, no, no. Exactly what I'm doing while here on YouTube. FBI monitors these words. Cybersecurity monitors, blah, blah, blah. Again, even if what you're saying is true, that's the least of my worries. The least of my worries are some witches coven. If they are sacrificing children, which I highly doubt they are, but if they are, then they're allowed to. Like, if your dumbass knows that they're doing it, then the system that has eyes and ears everywhere knows that they're doing it.
Nobody's coming near this house.
And so any time you have that scenario, you have to see it from that perspective. And if you truly want to do something about it, then you have to go from the top down, not from the bottom up. But it sounds like bullshit to me. I'd love to know how you justify this. Where do you what evidence do you have of this kinds of shit? How do you support your narrative? I just don't think I don't know. I hear shit like this, and to me it's just a joke. Or it's something to focus on. For the news, let's just say there's a whole story on it. It's like the news is really covering this story, but not any of the other stories why is the news specifically talking about this one story? We're talking about a news that consistently tells us Israel is the good guy. Israel is the victim. Israel and the United States are one and the same. Why would you believe anything they say at this point? Like, this is the thing. This is where I am, and I don't like it per se, but I don't understand how you could be anywhere else. For help while FBI monitored. What does that mean? You understand that's not a sentence. For help while FBI monitored is not a sentence. Yep, antiseptic. Yep. It's so great that that shit is catching on like it is, man. That you're seeing people saying antiseptic literally everywhere. It's fantastic. It shows you that people are waking up. They're just waking up like, it's almost like they're waking up to a dream inside of a dream because they're still dreaming. You know, while you're still focusing on Israel, you're in fantasy land. Israel doesn't exist.
Why can't I lean forward? Because of you.
Israel is not a real thing. It's just an idea. It's just a construct. It's invisible lines that they tell us are the border of something. But you wouldn't know unless you're at the wall, of course. But the wall is more inside. Harder to see. And you have to ask yourself again, like, this is just, this is all so obvious. It's so obvious that people are seeing it, but because of the pre-programmed bullshit, it's like they're having a hard time. It's like it's actually creating a conflict within themselves. Because this was something my wife absolutely went through. Right? She didn't want to be seen as someone who generalizes an entire people and is racist, so to speak. But it's just in how you look at it, because we're not talking about a race of people. We're not talking about a thing that people can't change. We're talking about a choice that people make. Right? Like this is a choice that people are making. They choose to belong to a cult that has horrendous practices. And whether they partake in the practices or not, they know of them and do nothing about it.
Here's the problem with that, though. It's not a choice as in, like, a career choice. When you are born into, a culture.
A cult.
Well, it's a culture.
No, it's a cult.
As far as you know, it's your ancestry, it's your traditions, it's your lineage, So when you're born into that, and everybody around you, it's something they bond over. For you to go against that takes a tremendous amount of strength,
courage,
and courage, and self-confidence, self-awareness. And not everybody possesses that.
Yeah, but
so it's not a simple choice.
But everybody knows that
mountain.
that violating children is wrong.
Sure, but also at the young age, they're not privy to that information.
No.
So they don't know that's going on.
Yeah, but they know. Everybody knows.
They don't. The kids aren't in that room.
They know. They talk. They talk. They all know.
I don't know.
And at some point, like again, if I know about it, then they know about it. I'm not in their world, and I know about it. And this is something that's been a narrative that's been pushed forever. Like you can see narrative after narrative, even if you don't believe the history like we're told, like me. Even the history that we're told, the whitewashed version of history, designed to make them look the best they can look, completely controlled by Israel. Wikipedia is controlled by Israel. For that narrative to still make them look bad, tells you there's truth to it. When the manufactured, manipulated version still makes you look bad, it's because you're bad. This is how this works, right? This is how this this whole thing works.
This is not nice nor necessary.
And this is all time-tested shit. This is how they operate. This is how cults in themselves operate. Every single cult you've ever heard of. Ones that make it to the news and become a big deal. Are there, like 100% of the time, there are stories of said cult leader fucking with kids. 100% of the time.
I've seen a lot of interviews and documentaries that talk to people that have gotten out of these cults, and every single one of them, starting as children, get introduced to, sexual act. It's being taught to them like this is what you do to show love for your elders.
Yeah. While also pushing like the most biblical bullshit. It's biblical.
Right.
Don't you dare sleep with someone because you want to. Don't you dare sleep. Have
Not
sex with
out of
someone.
lust.
Right. Can't do it out of lust. This is
yes.
This is about
Your devotion to God.
devotion and transcendence and forgiveness.
Some of these cults distribute literature to the children, talking about it and normalizing pedophilia as if it's not a bad thing.
There's a video making the rounds where I think it's Bezazel Smoltrich goes into what looks like it could be a classroom, except for the fact that looks like there are high school girls all the way down to elementary school kids in the same room. I don't know what it is. The room, and the girls start screaming like he's a Beatle. In the 60s. They're just, oh my God, oh my God. Ah! And some of them are working out tears and shit. And he's, reaching out and shaking hands and all this other shit. When you create that sort of aura around someone, whether that situation is manufactured or not, if you manufacture, that's what they did with the Beatles, right?
Very powerful.
They paid a bunch of girls to act like lunatics in the audience, and they only had to do that one or two times before the girls thought that's how they're supposed to react.
They started doing it. So weird.
Screaming and crying and passing out, and it's just so weird.
It's so weird.
There's not a single person on earth that I would lose my shit over meeting.
No, that's creepy as fuck. Sorry, creepy.
But that's, they make guys like this disgusting scuzzball, he's not attractive by any standpoint anywhere in the world. He does not check the standard boxes of what attractive is. And yet these girls are losing their shit over him. That's how they create these narratives. And listen, one of the parts of the operation, the narrative that they give us, is that someone like me is not supposed to say these things unless I have absolute proof of them. But that's not how this works. The only way you get absolute proof of it is by saying it. And the reality is, at this point, you need to prove the opposite. You need to prove that you're not a part of this. If I have any inclination that you might be a weirdo, I'm going to go with it. Because what I've been shown by my obsession with reality, I don't watch a bunch of fake movies, Hollywood shit, blah, blah, blah. I love watching interrogations and you know, and pedo hunter videos and shit like that, that really shows the psychology and of the way things work and the mind and humanity and all that shit. And it doesn't take a fucking genius to see, like, you know, how many pedophile hunters can you think of right off the top of your head that are just on YouTube alone? Because a lot of them exist on like Rumble and stuff like that, and they're not on YouTube because of YouTube's restrictions. Unfortunately, Bupak got killed because Bupak was the man. I you know, the more violent, the more, you know, mean and you know, you should call the cops. No, fuck those guys up. You know, make them actually have consequences, because more than likely the cops aren't going to do shit. You have to make them scared to show up again, and you have to make them well known. Showing their videos, showing their faces. I think they should kick them in the dick. Slapping them in the face, yeah, they can heal, whatever. You kick them as hard as you can in the dick, and hopefully you pop something. Hopefully you injure something so it doesn't work anymore. That's my suggestion. Kick them in the dick. But what my obsession, what my you know, everyday life has shown me is that, you know, I can pull up YouTube and put pedo hunter, and tens, hundreds of different people will have different videos posted where they're doing something similar. And you see guys like Chris Hansen who will do like a weekend in a town. And in that weekend, they'll catch 20, 30 guys over a 3-day period. DAP, the guys from DAP say they you know, they don't even think about it. They just randomly go to any town, create the profile, and within minutes, they're being hit up and they're setting up meets and all that shit. So this actually takes us into story too. Because what you're seeing is what you see online is a small percentage of what actually happens. Because the people that show up are the smallest percentage. The people that actually have the compulsion and the drive and the sickness enough to risk everything by showing up to meet a child, they're actually a lot fewer than you think or than you're imagining. But just because you don't show up and instead you just like talking to children sexually, or you like looking at videos or pictures of children being exploited, you're just as bad as the people that show up. Literally, just as bad. There's no distinction in my mind. You know? I mean, I guess it's worse if you, I guess, but it's just as bad. And what you don't see is the hundreds, if not thousands of people file. You know, you only see the small percentage that, but there are hundreds of people, your neighbors, your friends, your family members that are reaching out to these profiles. And for you to think it's anything other than that is just your arrogant stupidity. Not my family, not my friends, not my church. Yes. Yes, the insane, like, again, every single one of these guys You know, a lot of times they operate multiple profiles. They're getting hit up tens, hundreds, thousands of times. Asking for pics, asking for this, asking for that. And lots of those guys, again, they're not going to show up. But they have a collection of desperate little 13-year-olds who showed them a topless pic. And it's people everywhere. It's your neighbors across the street. It's your uncle that's kind of weird. It's people you don't even, like, you would think would never be those people. They're just good people. They're good church people. They're this, they're that. They're consistently caught. Consistently caught. Ex-cops, military, doctors. You know what you don't see anymore? You know what you used to see all the time? If you go look at the original TCAPs, you're going to see that 40, 50, 60% of the people caught are friars. You're talking about 2% of the population being caught any percentage of the time, but a high percentage of the time. That's just not, that's not possible if it's not a huge epidemic within their thing, within their cult. You know, go look at the doctor, the rabbi, the computer guy, the of them. Lots of them. But you don't see that as much anymore. And I can't help but have educated myself to a higher level in this, where I am now asking you guys, do you think it's because of the secure community network? Do you think that whenever there's one of these guys, a Skeet Hansen, a DAP, a Predator Poachers, shit, when you're talking about Gordon Flowers, Alex Rosen, I'm sure he's a part of the secure community network. Karen, what's going on? She's been trying to get on for 25 minutes. How many regular people that don't know what's going on try to get on this feed for 25 minutes? Knowing that they're being prevented from, so they have to keep trying. How many regular people do you think would put in that kind of effort? How many other feeds do you have to spend 25 minutes to try to get onto, Karen? How many other times ever happened in your experience with YouTube, with any of it? You know, this is evidence. I can't show you the inner workings of YouTube. I can't show the contracts of the world saying that guy Williams guy is a piece of shit. We got to do everything we can to stop him. I can only show you what it is, and you guys have to be able to see for yourself. If you're seeing things that you've never seen before, think about how unlikely that is. In this world of similarity, the sea of similarity that we live in. How, you know, for you to see something, especially when you're talking about electronics, social media, the thing that connects us all, the thing that Israel has been buying up left and right. What do you think they're doing with that? Look at the thumbnail of this video. That's one of the lower videos. That one only has 8,000 views. I could show you thumbnails of 40,000 views. How does that happen until the day after Charlie gets kirked? And suddenly my feed is what it is now. How? I mean, that would happen every stream if you didn't pay your phone bill. What? That would happen every stream if you didn't pay your phone bill.
Oh my God.
What does that even mean? Like, again, this person's sitting here quiet while I'm talking about pedophiles and, how they're everywhere. We need to do something. They have nothing to say. They suddenly spark up to say something stupid like that. Who's going to do that? What normal, reasonable human being is going to hear what this conversation is about and do everything they can to either shit talk or change the subject, or who other than pedos and friars, who is going to do it? You say, I guess I don't pay my... Well, I don't even know what he's saying. I mean, that would happen to every stream if you didn't pay your phone bill. So are you saying that I do pay my phone bill? So that's preventing it from happening to every stream, although it does happen every stream. So are you saying it happens every stream because I don't pay my phone bill? Do you think that's how phones work? Do you think the phone companies are like, okay, I'm going to let you go live, but I'm not going to let you get a lot of views. We're going to let you go live, but we're going to prevent other people from seeing you for 25 minutes. Do you really think the phone companies go through that much effort instead of just cutting off service? Wouldn't cutting off service make the most sense? You used to come up all the time in my YouTube stream, then you disappeared. It's nonsense. I mean, it's bullshit. It makes sense though. But this is yet another person who apparently I've tricked into saying these things. This is not just them saying it. Used. Or I don't pay my phone bill and that's why I can't get on. Yeah, I'm not really sure what the fuck this dumbass thought they were saying that was so smart, but that's what you expect from immigrant friars. They can't argue. So, like, just think about it. You're standing there at a family function, right? Having a conversation with your brother-in-law or whatever, and you're talking about some sort of, you're talking about politics or whatever, and you can see in the corner of your eye, your 9-year-old nephew is standing there trying to figure out a way to get into the conversation, but he doesn't know anything about he doesn't know about, Israel and all this other stuff. He doesn't know about that. And then you say something about, and that $3.8 billion, man, that's a lot of money. And the kid goes, I have $12 in my piggy bank. And you're like, whoa. All right, hey, yeah, good, buddy. That's really great. Why don't you keep that in mind? Let me finish talking to Uncle whatever, and I'll come talk to you about it in a minute, okay? And he goes, okay. And he runs off. But instead of him going okay and running off, these guys are like, no, my $12 in the bank. $12 in the bank. And you're going, dude, I get it. You want to be a part of the conversation. You're just not capable. It's not on your level. You need to just go off to the side, go sit at the kiddie table, and you can talk about whatever dumb shit you want to talk about. Fake account saying that ain't nobody keeping you out of the algorithm. Oh, it is another fake account saying that. Yeah. Gotta love the fake accounts. There are fake accounts that are now backing me. Right? It's not just the fake accounts where they're saying unreasonable, weird shit. Now fake accounts are backing what I'm saying. And they're lying by saying that they haven't seen my feed pop up in a long time, though it used to. While also ignoring the thumbnail that shows you that clearly I used to be allowed to get a lot more views. So there's a whole bunch of lying going on my end. according to the random troll that's here crying about it. And for those that don't really understand, here, let's give you the brief summary of events. So, first and foremost, we have to show you Naftali Bennett. This is currently a former Israeli prime minister, but at the time of this recording in 2010, he was a future Israeli prime minister and was just a very high-ranking Mossad, IDF Israeli agent. Here he is talking to the Israel National News.com. Israel National News .com, I guess.
Metzitzia, in conjunction with My Israel, has arranged instruction day for wiki editors. The goal of the day is to teach people how to edit in Wikipedia, which is the #1 source of information today in the world. As a way of example, if someone searches the Gaza flotilla, we want to be there. We want to be the guys who influence what is written there, how it's written, and to ensure that it's balanced and Zionist in nature.
I came here to...
It's such a telling video. You can do a really deep dive into it. When you look at all the times he says, compared to the times where he's just flowing. You know, his Wikipedia is the #1 source of information in the world. For example, if people search the Gaza flotilla, we want to be there. We want to be the guys that influence what is written there, how it is written, and to ensure that it is balanced and Zionist in nature. In the beginning, he says, you know, these two groups in conjunction with My Israel have arranged an instruction day for Wikipedia editors. Or no, wait, not for the last, for an instruction day for Wikipedia editors. Every time he says it's because he's deciding on what to say. Because if you just go back and you listen,
wiki editors, the Metzitzia, in conjunction with My Israel, has arranged.
Okay, so he had no problem saying who it was. Then he says, has arranged. Means demanded, but he has to come up with the softer words. Demanded.
Instruction day for wiki editors.
Has demanded an instruction day for wiki editors. Right? Instruction day for wiki editors, he spits it out. But the part is when he's deciding on how to word whether it was arranged or it was demanded.
The goal of the day is to teach people.
The goal of the day is to teach, he says. Again, it's demand, but he's coming up with the better word. To teach the Wikipedia editors how to do their job.
How to edit in Wikipedia, which is the #1 source of information today in the world.
See, he has no problem with any of that. The only problem he has is how to exactly word the negative parts. To because if you took out teach and you put demand, it would still work. Demand that the Wikipedia editors, blah blah, like, you know what I mean? This is, what's up, bruv? This is such a telling piece of footage here. Much more so on the body language and the presentation aspect, not just what he's saying, but at the same time what he's saying.
As a way of example, if someone searches the...
And notice how he does this whole flow part where he does so he just flows right into like a prepared, as way of an example. He didn't have to think of the as an example of he didn't have to think about that. This is all pre-planned.
Teach people how to edit
teach
Wikipedia, which is the #1 source
no
of
thoughts.
information today in the world.
No thoughts.
As a way of example,
no
if
thoughts.
someone searches the Gaza flotilla,
no
we
thoughts.
want to be there. We want to be the guys who influence what is written there, how it's written, and to ensure that it's balanced and Zionist in nature.
And at that last part, that it's balanced and he could have said and balanced and paints Israel in a fair light, represents Israel fairly, you know, something along those lines. But he just goes, fuck it, Zionist in nature. Because that's the truth. It's Zionist in nature. He wants you to know that that's exactly what he means. He chose that word on purpose. He could have said something much softer, much more easier, or much easier on the palate. But that's it. So when I then say, okay, I use Wikipedia as my main source of information, you understand that I'm looking in the source they want us looking at. So you can't hide behind Wikipedia when it comes to this. If you're dumb enough to think that anybody can edit Wikipedia, I mean, you're just stupid. That, you know, anybody can suggest an edit to Wikipedia. But if anybody could edit Wikipedia, they could just click edit, click select all, click delete, click save, and then go on to the next thing. They could fuck Wikipedia all up by doing that. You can suggest an edit, which is then sent to the editors that Israel taught how to do their own fucking job. They were the number one source of information in the world. They'd been around for almost a decade, if not more. And yet they needed to be taught how to edit in Wikipedia by Israelis to make sure that anything that's printed is balanced and Zionist in nature. Do you guys get it? Do you guys get that, like, what they do is sort of throw it in your face and then dare you to call them out? You can't say there's a conspiracy. You can't say there's a conspiracy. What about this? Oh, well, you can't just believe everything you say. This is a prime minister. This is a high-ranking motherfucker here. Every word and comment carefully constructed and delivered. Exactly. He knew exactly what he was saying, and he didn't care. He didn't care that he said the quiet part out loud. So first, I'm going to go to act.il, because act.il, anyone can suggest an edit. Doesn't mean that edit sticks, you dumb fucker. Right? You're just dumb as shit. It's common sense that they wouldn't allow anyone to just edit because it could fuck up their whole thing. You can suggest an edit. Sometimes, right? Because then there's times like with act.il where the page is totally locked. There is no editing this. No, they can make edits, not suggest. No, you can't, dumbass. You just can't. I'm not going to keep arguing with the dumbass about this. It's common sense. Why would Wikipedia let people destroy their platform? It's just stupid. And one of the key things is these two entries that I read you. Act.il is a locked page, so you can't edit this one. But the next page I'm going to read you, the Team Jorge page, is one that supposedly you can edit. So why haven't any of my trolls who have been here for years edited the Team Jorge page to say something along the lines of Guy Williams is stupid or anything like that, just to prove me wrong? That's all they'd have to do. They could prove me wrong. and to suggest again that someone is coming onto Wikipedia to edit these stories to make Israel look bad, but it's just not true. And that there's no policing of it whatsoever. Wikipedia is just the wild, wild west. Unless, of course, it's one of these locked pages, right? I just went and did it for proof. I bet you did. We'll see. Act.il was a social networking service used by supporters of Israel to oppose online, quote, anti-Israel content, such as the BDS movement, boycott, divestments, and sanctions. Its activities were referred to as, quote, an online propaganda campaign and, quote, a virtual situation room of pro-Israel experts. This is where you really need to pay attention. Act.il directed its users to, quote, missions to like, comment on, and share pro-Israel material on social media. It also asked users to flag, report, and respond to criticisms of Israel. Users were guided on how to respond, which might entail writing a reply using the provided talking points. So that's why they all sound the same. That's why they all say the same mental issue, dumbass nonsense. Because of things like the social or the secure community network that connects 90% of American friars. They're taught how to respond to criticisms, and those responses are never tell them about the good stuff. Point to reasons why they're wrong. Don't do that. The tactic that is employed, that is always employed, is to call the people crazy, call them retarded, say they're schizophrenic, say they need their meds, say something along those lines, which goes all the way back to the origins of their crazy shit. We'll get there, watch. The memes also, the app also provided users with ready-made memes promoting Israel's perspective for them to share. Now, pay attention. By completing missions, users earned points, unlocked badges meaning prizes, and had their scores displayed on leaderboards. Unlocked badges. You are seeing concrete, absolute, undeniable proof on a locked page, so there's no tomfooleries going on here. I'm not doing it. Telling you that they employ their average everyday chosen to do exactly what is being done on my page, where they come in and they disrupt and they talk shit but they don't answer anything. And usually it's some sort of mental issue problem. I'm literally providing you with all of the proof I can to validate my claims. Do you see anyone providing you with any proof to the contrary? As a matter of fact, for a couple of years now, I've been telling people, hey, why don't you make a video just like I'm doing, where you film your own dumb face, titled Guy Williams Sucks. You go live, you do what you got to do, and you make a 5-minute video or whatever. You pick one of the things that I'm talking about, that I'm wrong about, and you debunk the fuck out of it. You make me look like a total dumbass. Then let me know that you made a video, again, titled Guy Williams Sucks, and I'll play it live on my feed and we'll go through it. Where you can show that you're a real person. You're not some Israeli agent. You're not some friar. You're just some regular person who's just mad at me for whatever reason you give. And out of the thousands and thousands and hundreds of thousands of people that have come through my feed, because again, my numbers used to be pretty high, and my recaps of I think I so far I'm close to 1 million views total. On all of my things, I have close to 1 million views. not one, well, not one person takes me up on my offer. I do have, it's, I would say one, but the one is a group that has 2 YouTube pages that upload the same videos. And instead of talking about me, they have clips that go back years. Little 5-second clips of me saying this or me saying that. Little things that hurt their feelings. From different platforms. Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. They have a bunch of different clips because I guess they have all of my videos not just saved but time-stamped. A bunch of clips where they write on the screen, you know, this guy's stupid. And in between the clips is Israeli propaganda videos. And it's about a 5-minute video that I would assume took a long fucking time to make. Just to have all of those videos time-stamped and all that, that's just weird as it is. But to have them at your disposal so you can cut and paste and all, that's strange. That is a strange obsession that I don't have for literally anybody. I couldn't timestamp a single video. There's not a video that I can say, oh, watch this video and at this thing happens. Not a single thing. And yet, you know, we've had lots of people claim they were going to. I would like to see someone take you up on that offer. But no face on screen. Exactly. Booted 20 seconds ago and back. Right. How come nobody's taking me up on that offer? It seems pretty simple. You're one of the arrogant dumbasses who's like, oh, you just want it to go viral. If you think you can make a video that can go viral, you should do it. You'll make money. Do it. What is preventing you from making any videos that can go viral if you can make one video that can go viral? But if you really are worried that you're that good, after I show your video on my screen, delete it. This isn't difficult, man. This is an easy thing to do. He's right on everything except flat Earth. Sure. Prove it. So you see, like when you see these characters in the comment section, that's what one part of it is act.il or a reasonable facsimile thereof, because the actual act.il app was disbanded because they just used they were like, we're gonna end the paper trail for act.il, and we just now have act.il is now on social media. So they have their Facebook pages and they have Instagrams. They have it, same network. It's just harder to track now. So that's one piece. Before I go to the second piece, I'm actually going to go to auto emancipation, just so we can get this straight real quick. So auto emancipation. This is a page you could edit, I guess. Auto Emancipation is a pamphlet written in German by a Russian, Polish, Jewish doctor and activist, Leon Pinsker, in 1882. Every time you hear people talk about the Balfour Declaration in 1916, they're way off. Build me a rocket and I'll prove it. Oh, okay, well. You would get into a rocket that I built? Boy, are you stupid. It is considered a founding document of modern Jewish nationalism, especially Zionism. Pinsker discussed the origins of anti-Semitism. Right off the bat, we're going into why they're the victims. And argued for friar self-rule and the development of a friar national consciousness. He wrote that friars would never become the social equals of non-friars, which is in blue, become the social equals of non-friars is in blue, until they had a state of their own. He called on friar leaders to convene and address the problem. In the pamphlet, he describes anti-friar attacks as a psychosis, a pathological disorder, and an irrational phobia. Does that sound familiar to you? Right, here we go. Stop smoking meth. Yep, see? We're going to go right to more of it. Which part am I getting wrong here by reading the historical record? And why, if what you do believe your cult is actually good, why wouldn't you want me reading it and expressing it and showing people the goodness that is you? Mm, 900 billion oligarchs in the United States. Wow. I keep getting bounced into the next video or reel on my notifications, and I'm not touching the fucking phone. Does that happen to anybody else? I can't say I'm ever watching a video where suddenly it bounces me to the next video. That literally never happens. That means 99% of the policy made by the oligarchs. I mean, unless you incorporate the AIPAC policy conference, where AIPAC is discussing U.S. policy with a group that they say the only other event that has more government officials attend it, unilaterally at both sides, whatever, is the State of the Union address where they're required to be there. No votes, no congressional conferences, nothing. Nothing else happens in the United States that more government officials attend than the AIPAC policy conference. Do friars ever recruit more people to become friar? No. I mean, you have people like Sammy Davis Jr. and Nell Carter and, Whoopi Goldberg used a friar name back before there was an internet so she could get books or gigs booked. Because, they'd hire Whoopi Goldberg and she'd show up and they wouldn't be able to change it. It's last minute. And they'd be like, all right, go out there. You could do that shit back then. Comet Apophis will hit April 13th, 2029. Says who? CNBC mentioned a possible future war of the people against the oligarchs. Are you in? It's interesting because I don't want people to die. When I'm running for president in 2028. And when I win, the first thing that I do, my first order of business, you know how every other president's first order of business is to sit at the chair surrounded by penguins, bunch of Hasidiotics in their little goofy outfits, and they have to sign the pledges over to I, as this president, pledge my complete loyalty and allegiance to Israel, blah, blah, blah. I mean, you could see every single president has that picture, and you can see that a lot of the guys in the picture are the same guys each time, just getting older, in the same spots and all that shit, right? But my first thing will be, look, we make friarism illegal. And nobody's saying that you have to get out of here, you have to leave, I'm saying if you choose to continue to associate with that cult, then we are going to provide you with the last little bit of money you will ever get from the United States, which is the plane ticket to Israel. If you don't, and you continue to practice this illegal practice, you will be arrested and deported. You know? And I firmly believe that it's within the same legislation we make pedophilia absolutely illegal and punishable by death retroactively, right? We're gonna go back against those repeat offenders in the past who we just haven't been caught again yet. But I want to give them what they want. I want to give them Israel. I want to tell the Palestinians, look, we're very sorry for what's been done to you on our behalf. So we invite you to come to the United States. We will give you your own little area. It will be free. Your lives will be free. And if your region, if Palestine ever opens back up again, which it might, you will have a first-class ticket back there. We will facilitate you getting back there. But until that happens, this generation of you and the next generation of you gets freedom. You get the same, the same thing that the friars got from the Holocaust, the stipend. The what was it? Whatever $1,000 a month was. In today's money from back then. Because those guys were getting $1,000 a month. You actually saw it slip out. I can't remember any of the characters, but it was on the news. It was probably CBS because that's what I watched. They had one of their reporters had her Holocaust survivor grandmother on there. And she was being asked questions, and one of them was, well, how much do you get? And before she could answer, the daughter jumped in, was like, no, we're not gonna, change the subject. But she had said it was under $1,000, which is probably like $999. But she was saying that it still happens, and it gets passed down from her to somebody of her choosing. I think she actually gets to pass it on to two. And that will just continue. Those survivors will continue to get their stipend. And I don't see why, after what we've done to the Palestinians, we can't do that for that small amount of people. It was 2 million people prior to this. It's probably much closer to 1 million people now. Spin it. It's you. That's you. That's what you sound like. Spin. That's you. That's what it says. Wait, bro, if you are legit running, pick Democrat or Republican and infiltrate to the top or be at the top. It's only way, the two-party system. Yeah, no, I'm not Democrat or Republican. Are you out of your fucking mind? That would mean I would need their nomination. And how would I ever get the Republican or Democrat nomination when their whole system is controlled by friars? No, the only way someone like me can ever get anywhere is through the independent loophole, which requires a whole shitload of finesse and finagling that I don't even know how to do. So I need more people within the know to help me get to that position. What's wrong?
I don't know. Maybe the fact that you keep throwing shit at me.
Never, not once. Oh, so Nibiru is behind the sun. Dun, dun, dun! Anytime somebody talks about Nibiru, to me, you date yourself, right? You're saying that you either came online, you're either young, or you came online within the last, 10 years or so. Because if you've been doing this for any period of time, then you know the Nibiru story was supposedly centered around December 21st, 2012. But the reality is, and the whole thing about Nibiru, which is just so off-putting and telling to me, is you have to understand who Dr. Zachariah Sitchin is, or was. Dr. Zachariah Sitchin, you know what? That sounds like a good time. Let's do that. Dr. Zachariah Sitchin was a friar, Freemason, master Freemason, who basically John Smith did, the same sort of story that gives us Mormonism, where John Smith is John fucking Smith. Is an angel visits John Smith, tells him where these magical these plates are, these golden plates that are covered in Egyptian and Freemasonic symbols, apparently. He goes and he finds them, and he's given magic glasses by this angel Moroni, who told him to find the plates where he just happened to be. And the magic glasses helped him decipher them. He deciphered them to his girl at the time, and then, as instructed, he destroyed the plates so nobody ever actually saw them. But let's see. 4 or 5 years. If I may get the nomination, independents never win. I took government class, explain why. Yeah, but your government class doesn't tell you because the friars control everything and it's all a big farce. That's not what your government class tells you. By the way, if you're watching, like, share, and sub, help out. Apparently it helps. I know it can't hurt for you to take 2 seconds, click share it on Facebook, and if you need to, say this guy's crazy so you don't get in trouble. But it literally takes you like 2 seconds to do it. It can't hurt. I'm not worried about anybody that you're going to bring in that's going to make me look stupid. Although I encourage you to do so, I don't think anybody can. So by all means, like, bring it. Don't just sing it. Don't just sing it.
Say it.
Bring it! God damn, she's old. Oh, bring it on. It's already been brought in. Apophysis coming. I believe in aliens. Why? Joseph Smith. What did I say? John Smith? Joseph Smith. Yeah, whatever. Same thing. I want to look up Zachariah Sitchin. I spelled it wrong. I don't know how to spell it. Is this him? Oh, yeah, this is him. Okay, Zechariah. It's Zechariah Sitchin. My bad. And it was translated a good 100 years before Zechariah even touched them. Nope, not true. But again, he's the same thing where he somehow figured out how to translate these tablets in a way that only he understood. And like, if you've ever seen the one picture where they're like, look, there's two figures and then in between them is an accurate depiction of the solar system. And it's like there's a ball and some other balls around it. But that's not an accurate depiction of the solar system. It's just some balls. It just happens to be the correct number of balls, so they went with it. July 11th, 1920 to October 9th, 2010. Jesus, 90 years old. Was an author of a number of books proposing an explanation for human origins involving ancient astronauts. Sitchin attributed the creation of the ancient Sumerian culture. Wait, who are the ancient Sumerians again? Judea and Samaria. Because, you know, that's Palestine, right? Everything about this revolves around, yet again, Palestine. The creation of the Sumerian culture. Let's see, the Sumerians. The earliest known civilizations in Sumer, located in the historical region of eastern Mesopotamia, emerging during the Chalcolithic and early Bronze Ages between the 6th and 5th millennium BC. Like nearby Elam, it is one of the cradles of civilization, along with Egypt, the Indus Valley, the Irligang culture, and the Yellow River Valley. Carol Supi, and Mesoamerica. Living along the valleys of the Tigris and Euphrates rivers, Sumerian farmers grew an abundance of grain and other crops, a surplus of which enabled them to form urban settlements. The world's earliest known texts come from the Sumerian sites of Uruk and Jemdet Nasar and date between 3350 and 2500 BC. That's a significantly long period of time for there to be a between here and there. Following a period of proto-writing from 4000 to 2500 BC. Oh, I can't see the calendar. Believe it or not, that might be awesome. But I'm not that awesome. Pottery. I mean, marriages were usually arranged by the parents of the bride and groom. Engagements were usually completed through the approval of contracts between recorded on clay tablets. Man, we sure do know a lot about these people from fucking 4,000 years ago. Isn't that amazing? It's just goofy. Anyway, I'm going to go back to this. Which he claimed was a race of extraterrestrials from a planet beyond Neptune called Nibiru. He claimed that Sumerian mythology suggests that this hypothetical planet of Nibiru is in an elongated 3,600 year long elliptical orbit around the sun. Right. And according to Sitchin, Nibiru is like hundreds of years out. If you believe that shit. Sitchin's books have sold millions of copies worldwide and have been translated into more than 25 languages. Do you know why? Because instinctively, inherently, we know that the religious bullshit we're given isn't true. If everybody was truly Christian and Muslim and all that shit, there's no way they would even begin to entertain this bullshit. But because somewhere inside of you, you know that it's all bullshit, you're desperately trying to find something that makes more sense. And in reality, this makes more sense than the religious narratives we're given. And so because you're analytical, because you're reasonably intelligent, you do, you gravitate towards the things that make more sense. Sitchin's ideas have been resoundingly rejected by scientists, academics, historians, including Sumerologists, Orientalists, and Assyriologists, and anthropologists who dismiss his work as pseudoscience and pseudohistory, unlike that real stuff that they tell us. Hell yeah. How did they build all that stuff? We don't know. Yeah. How did they build the aqueducts and all those roads and those channels? And how did they do all that? We don't know. Pyramids? I don't know. Castles? We don't know. Cathedrals? We don't know. Catacombs and tunnels and shit? We don't know. But anything else is pseudoscience. What we tell you is the truth. We don't know a lot of it, but it's the truth. His work has been criticized for flawed methodology, ignoring archaeological and historical evidence, and mistranslations of ancient texts, as well as for incorrect astronomical and scientific claims. You know why? Because it's all bullshit. You ready? You ready? Early life. What do you think the first thing it's going to say is? Chubby, what do you think the first thing it'll say about his early life is?
He was a carpenter.
I'm talking about Dr. Zachariah Sitchin, the guy who came up with the Nibiru, Sumerians, all that stuff. Anunnaki.
We're poor and had no shoes.
Well, the first thing it says is, Sitchin was born to a Jewish family.
I thought that was a given. I'm sorry.
Right, I was waiting for you to say it. She did say it when she said the no shoes and the poor thing. You just didn't catch it. Search when the letter J was introduced to the alphabet and get back to me, you fool. Oh, okay, I'll do that. Let me get back to you. Maybe they're the same. Maybe AI came in a signal and they're not telling us. Noonie knows. Americans made AI? How do you know that? How do you know that AI hasn't been around for a very long time? How do you know that ChatGPT hasn't been around for a very long time? And that's how they were able to create the historical narrative that we have. The one that doesn't make sense. The one that doesn't account for all of the structures and buildings and shit. The one that always shows us, the most macho George Washington, Thomas Jefferson, the macho forefather men of the fucking man. These guys are the fucking man. They all dressed in Shakespearean tights and shit, right? All drunk and high all the time. Right? George Washington and his wooden teeth, right? Pseudoscience. Did I forget to drink my tea? No. Sitchin was born into a Jewish family in Baku. A lot of them come from Baku, the capital of the then Soviet Azerbaijan. Abner's backgammon. Azerbaijan. Abazaba. Your buddy Trump. Azerbaijan. And raised in Mandatory Palestine, which in 1948 became the modern state of Israel. Just just became Israel. It wasn't a bunch of death involved. According to an interview in the New York Times, he received a degree in economics from the University of London and was an editor and journalist in Israel before moving to New York in 1952. While working as an executive for a shipping company, he taught himself Sumerian cuneiform and visited several archaeological sites. Yeah. I mean, why not, right? 32 years old? Just like, hey, you know what? I want to learn Sumerian. Sumerian cuneiform, you know, back in the 50s when you couldn't just look that shit up. You had to go to specific libraries and hope they had this, that, and the other. That's his early life. That's it. That's Dr. Zacharias Sitchin. There you go. So Americans that existed forever as 1611, the letter J was widely introduced because I mean, it's all bullshit. You know, when you watch Hollywoodism and you watch it for like the second or third time just so you get it, you understand that what you think history is literally just a creation. It could be anything. And that's what Hollywoodism tells you, is that they used Hollywood to brainwash society into believing everything they wanted us to believe. Understand that, like, things that you think are, like, important stories and all that other shit, other countries don't know that shit. Other countries have all this, like the history of the UK is full of all these characters that you and I have never heard of. The history of India, the history of Russia, the history of fucking who knows where the fuck, Chad and Tanzania, and they all have all these different histories that you know nothing about, that have characters that are just as important to them as George Washington is to us. And they believe it. They believe it without a shadow of a doubt. History is his story. Whoever wins tells the tale. Or who are the winners of the draw? Like, it doesn't even need to be that there was a violent uprising and the winners won the violent uprising. It just means they get to be chosen. They were the ones chosen to do the job, to keep the sheep in line, to keep the TV show going. Because every time the TV show gets boring, and it gets boring when we figure out it's a TV show, they have to reset it. You know? They like watching the show full of conflict. Conflict being the backbone of all entertainment. It doesn't matter what you like watching, it's conflict based.
Is that Kailua?
I don't know. Sure.
That's what, they had a big eruption yesterday.
Cool.
That wasn't all over the news.
Maybe it was. We don't watch the news. And then alimony in marriage makes me almost want to have kids and skip the whole marriage because child support is separate from alimony. Wow, that's weird fucking transition. I don't know where the hell that just came out of. Were you having another conversation and you accidentally typed here? Okay. Similar to early authors such as Immanuel Vilkovsky and Eric von Denken, Sitchin advocates hypotheses in which extraterrestrial events supposedly played a significant role in ancient human history. According to Sitchin's interpretation... Now, let me also say, I fell for this. I believed in Nibiru. I was there. And what you guys don't remember, all you people who just sort of discovered Nibiru recently, is that by December 20, so by like 2010, Nibiru was supposed to be visible. Like, if you've been studying this since back 2006, 2007, whatever, earlier, then you heard Nibiru by like 2010 was supposed to be visible in the southern hemisphere at nighttime.
God.
And then, by 2012, by December 21st, 2012, it's visible in the sky everywhere. And it's disrupting everything. It's causing, tornadoes and earthquakes and turmoil and yada, yada, yada. By 13, 14, it's starting to move on. And by like 17, 18, 19, it's already back out of our solar system because of its elliptical orbit. That's what we were told. That was the fear propaganda that David Wilcox and, trying to think of other people who would talk about it back then. But lots of people talked about Nibiru and shit back then. I absolutely fell for that shit. So for me, like people say, oh, you're never wrong. And you think this and you think that. I was wrong about this. I believe this. I fell for it. Until I kind of woke up to it. Sitchin, according to Sitchin's interpretation of Mesopotamian iconology and symbolism outlined in his 1976 book, because that 1976 technology was so fucking good.
We have an eclipse today, a lunar eclipse beginning at 11:30, and totality ends at 2:50.
George Friedrich Gottfried, early 19th century, initiated the decipherment of Old Persian cuneiform, which was crucial to understanding other cuneiform scripts. Sir Henry Creswick Rawlinson, 1830s to 1840s. Again, you're just copying and pasting a narrative that you're given. And because of that, you just accept what they want you to accept. You don't know any of that to be true. You're just assuming that the people that lie to you about everything are telling you the truth about this. And you know what it comes down to? It comes down to arrogance, and you just don't like it, right? They showed us this time and time again, films and TV shows showing up that concept. Some very high-ranking people. Psychosis can't be argued with. Says the same person, like this person, this profile, literally comes here every day and says the same dumb shit, proving my point that I made earlier. Literally using psychosis as his argument because that's what they're trained to do. He's not smart enough to actually engage in any sort of real conversation. We're waking up to aliens and AI and rich oligarchs having a party. It's like the Matrix, but more dystopian. No, you don't know Jesus to be true. Same people told you that. What are you even talking about? It's all arrogance, man. It's all arrogant bullshit. Easily proven by JFK. 9/11 to another extent, but JFK. Every single person on here believes that there's no way Patsy Oswald shot Kennedy all by himself with an old school style rifle, getting off 3 shots in an 8-second window that even the best snipers in the world can't do. One of which was, by definition, the magic bullet that went through Kennedy, bounced out, curved, went this way, went through Governor Connolly, came out, blah blah blah, found itself sitting on the gurney, on Governor Connolly's gurney, in pristine condition. Like this just doesn't work. We all know that. We are all comfortable saying that our government is lying to us. And they're not lying to us about some little something. They're literally lying to us about what is essentially one of the biggest things in American history, the assassination of a president.
Guys, why is he whining?
He's not. It's this. Which is, of course, filmed with the best film possible. Like the best footage we have comes from good old Abraham Zapruder, who might as well have the same fucking background as Zachariah Sitchin. When you understand that any little tiny piece of the footage that you're seeing has been edited, then any of it could be, it's all fake. You just throw it out. You have no idea what you're looking at.
What?
I mean, if Utah...
I wants to go to the bathroom,
If
dude.
an Utah person named Tom Robinson could take out Charlie Kirk, I believe 3 shots on JFK. You do? You believe that with an old bolt-action style rifle, he could get off 3 shots in 8 seconds, hitting a moving target from really far away that no marksman in history has been able to replicate. But this guy who wasn't known to be a very good shot, he did it. And he magically transported himself to different locations. And Jacob Rubenstein was allowed to kill him right in front of the police like that. Yeah, that all makes sense. When COVID came out and you were told to get booster shot after booster shot after booster shot after booster shot, did you run out and get every single booster shot you were told to get? If you didn't, it's because you arrogantly say, I know better than my government. They're telling me I need to do this, but I think they're lying. I'm not going to. And you base this off of your own personal experience and knowledge and feelings and all that. When it comes to everything that I'm talking about, you have no basis. You barely remember what you were taught in school, and you're coming at me from the perspective of, the standard zombie, the standard NPC. Who just repeats what he's told that he barely remembers and then arrogantly acts like he somehow knows more than somebody that looks into it. He somehow knows more than the guy that's literally reading it to you and pointing out how goofy it is. 1 a year? I don't want to lose. You actually took one? What's wrong with you? That's insane. Best marksman in history. Hit a man over 2 miles away, but keep going. Yeah. They best marksman in history using an extremely powerful sniper rifle. Supposedly fired a shot that took 10 seconds to reach the target because of the curvature of the earth that they somehow went around. Like, you can't shoot somebody from 2 miles away sitting on a flat surface. It's just not possible. It's just bullshit. But then, that was a controlled situation. Right? Somebody would have to be sitting perfectly still for you to then fire it, and then 10 seconds later, it hit that target. But those are the best marksmen in the world, and guess what? Not one of them has been able to replicate what Oswald supposedly did. Because you're too stupid to understand what's actually being said, I have to explain it again. Just because marksmen can do cool things, supposedly, doesn't mean that this shot is possible. And if this shot was possible, it was able to pull off what Oswald magically did. But you keep going there, buddy. It always felt like I was about to die. I don't know what you're talking about, dude. Oh, I can't imagine why anybody would take shots. But I get the hesitation. I think they underreport the effects. I mean, why would you trust our government in that regard? I highly suggest everyone look up the 1976 swine flu and the 1976 swine flu vaccination program and Dr. David Sencer. and see how they flat out, openly, proudly lied to us in order to trick 40 million plus Americans into taking a shot that was not only unnecessary, but wasn't even the approved version. And they had to do an emergency stop because so many people started coming down with polio, which they were calling Guillain-Barré syndrome. And to this day, the reason why you can't sue the government or vaccine manufacturers is because during that situation, they expedited the legislation through the system to protect both the manufacturers and the government. But that legislation persists to this day because of that. And when COVID came out, they didn't tell you, don't worry. Back in 76, we had a different coronavirus, the swine flu, that came out, and it was pretty scary, but we were able to vaccinate it away. Nothing to worry about. Here we are, like 30 years later, 25 years later. Technology has improved so much. We're so much better at this. Don't worry, we have this. No, they told you back in 1919, the Spanish flu killed between 25 and 50 million Americans. Blah, blah. It's fucking stupid. It was stupid. And I always asked, how come there weren't a whole bunch of dead homeless everywhere? If COVID was really that bad and you definitely needed that much protection, where are all the dead homeless? How come they had to keep going back to the same footage from Oregon where supposedly that old lady at the old folks home got sick and they didn't want to show it, so they held up sheets for the first time I'd ever seen? I agree. It's good on the liberty. Do you know that the largest hepatitis outbreaks in the world are always associated with vaccines? Whether it's there was a bad ingredient or there was a bad needle or something like that. Do you guys know that they renamed polio and call it Guillain-Barré syndrome nowadays? Because if they advertise their shit and it says increased risk of Guillain-Barré syndrome or even GBS, nobody knows what the fuck that is. But if you knew that there was even the slightest chance you could get polio from it, you wouldn't take it. So they just renamed it. But look up Dr. David Senser. His name is David Senser. Senser. Or Sensor or something. But Senser. His last name is Senser. He fucking lied. He knew he was lying. He was exposed by 60 Minutes for lying. And was flat out asked, were there any actual positive tests of anyone with the swine flu virus? And he said, well, there were some reports out of Australia of some people. And he was like, yeah, but were any of them confirmed? And he said, no. There were literally no confirmed reports outside of some kid that was sick and made to march. And then the people that cared for him and gave him mouth to mouth and all this other shit, they didn't get sick. It was all supposedly associated with one random military person that nobody knows of. And this David Senser guy who his father died young, but somehow his poor mother was able to send him to the University of Michigan and Harvard, and the whole story is just a bunch of bullshit. The vaccination program used something called the jet injection method, which was it was like a gun that was attached to like a compressor, right? That had water being fed into it. And then in the top of it, there was the medicine that would be let out a drop at a time into the chamber. and then the chamber would fire. It'd go, and it would shoot. It would the pressure from the water was so intense that it would penetrate your skin, and it was called needleless injection. And you can see there's a commercial for it that exists on YouTube. You can see it. But later studies found that enough material is passed from one person to the next to transmit diseases like hepatitis and other things. Yeah, I don't, hepatitis, it's a very small amount has to be transferred for hepatitis. So imagine all of the other things. Again, this is just before the AIDS epidemic hits. Imagine how many of the 46 million people that got that transferred something to somebody else or got something or whatever. It's crazy. So anyway, back to this nonsense. Outlined in the 76, both the 12th planet and its sequels, there is an undiscovered planet beyond Neptune which follows a long southern tilted elliptical orbit. He also indicated that part of its orbit is to the north of the Earth's equator, reaching the inner solar system roughly every 3,600 years. The planet is called Nibiru, although Jupiter was the planet associated with the god Marduk in Babylonian cosmology. Oh, so this is where they're like, see, he's wrong. Because, it's Marduk and it's Jupiter. Why that would be a thing is just so stupid, but they're already trying. According to Sitchin, Nibiru, whose name was replaced with Marduk in original legends by the Babylonian ruler of the same name, in an attempt to co-opt the creation for himself. See, this is where, talking about Babylonians and Mesopotamians and all this shit, and I don't buy in any of it anymore. None of it. I don't believe any of the history we're told. Why? Because look around you. Look at all the buildings and structures and canals and star forts and bridges and skyscrapers and underground tunnel systems and catacombs and look at all this history that so much of it took a year to build by some random, we don't know how, why, when, where, we don't know any of the details. We just know it took a year to build. Do you guys understand? This foggy ass narrative goes all the way into 1941 to 43, when supposedly the Pentagon, the Pentagon was built in 14 months, or 14 and a half to 15 months if you include planning. The location for the Pentagon was selected on 9/2/1941, and the finalization of the contracts and the groundbreaking took place 9 days later, all the permits, everything like that, on September 11th, 1941. The attacks were the 60th anniversary of the construction, not 59, not 61. The 60th anniversary of the construction date was when it was attacked. And the attack, the area that was attacked took over a year to rebuild. They built the entire Pentagon, all 7 floors that we know of, 5 above ground and 2 below ground. Again, that's just what we know of. They built all of that over 2 winters from September 11th, 1941 to January 26th or something like that, 1943. Just around 14 months. Do you believe that? Does anybody fucking believe that? Like that's just that's incredibly stupid, and I don't like it. You know, and when I'm supposed to believe this bullshit about the Mesopotamians and all this other shit by the people who tell me that the Pentagon was built in 14 months, there's no pictures of it. There's literally no proof of any of it. It's this magnificent, marvelous, gigantic building that nothing like it exists or has ever been attempted to be built again by us or anything. Chinese build stuff in days. Yeah, sure they do. Sure they do. Whatever you think you know about China, you don't. You're just given that information. But let's just keep going here. Let's see what more we can find out. A former rogue planet that was captured shortly after the formation of the solar system collided catastrophically with Tiamat, a goddess in the Babylonian creation myth, the Imuna Elis, which he considers to be another planet once located between Mars and Jupiter. This collision supposedly formed the planet Earth and the planet Earth, the asteroid belt, and the comets. Sitchin states that when struck by one planet, Sitchin states that when struck by one of planet Nibiru's moons, Tiamat split in two, and then on a second pass, Nibiru itself struck the broken fragments, and one half of Tiamat became the asteroid belt. The second half, struck again by one of Nibiru's moons, was pushed into a new orbit and became today's planet Earth. Sitchin also speculated that Pluto, which he identifies as both Gaga and Izimud, was originally a satellite of Saturn, but Nibiru's gravity perturbed it, sending it to the outer solar system and giving the body its peculiar orbit path, intersecting the orbit of Neptune. Which you would think at some point they're going to collide, right? That would be a huge collision if Neptune and Pluto actually collided. Why hasn't that happened yet? Shit's been going for a really long time. Millions and millions of years, right? Why hasn't Pluto and Neptune's orbit ever actually crossed each other? Or even gotten so close that they fuck each other up? Gosh, that's a weird narrative, huh? According to Sitchin, Nibiru called the 12th planet because Sitchin claimed the Sumerians' gods-given conception of the solar system counted all 8 planets plus Pluto, the sun, and the moon. But not the moons of the other planets, was the home of a technologically advanced human-like extraterrestrial race called the Anunnaki in Sumerian myth, who Sitchin states are called the Nephilim in Genesis. He wrote that they evolved after Nibiru entered the inner solar system, and they first arrived on Earth probably 450,000 years ago looking for minerals, especially gold, which they found and mined in Africa. Sitchin states that these gods were the rank and file workers of the colonial expedition to Earth from planet Nibiru. According to Sitchin, Enki, the Sumerian god of water and human culture, suggested that to relieve the Anunnaki, who had mutinied over their dissatisfaction with the working conditions, that primitive workers, Homo sapiens, be created by genetic engineering as slaves to replace them in the gold mines by crossing extraterrestrial genes with those of Homo erectus. According to Sitchin, ancient inscriptions report that the human civilization in Sumer, Mesopotamia, was set up under the guidance of these gods, and human kingship was inaugurated to provide intermediaries between mankind and the Anunnaki, creating the divine right of kings doctrine. Sitchin believes that fallout from nuclear weapons used during a war between factions of the extraterrestrials is the evil wind described in the Lament for Ur that destroyed Ur around 2000 BCE. Sitchin states that exact year is 2024 BCE. Oh, dun dun dun. Sitchin says that this research coincides with many biblical texts and that the biblical texts come originally from Sumerian writings. What's up, Matt? I only saw your video old live, got checked. Glad I checked your profile and saw the live banner. Isn't that strange? Because, Matt has his shit set up to let him know when I go live. Matt's an everyday, would be an everyday commenter and contributor, actual contributor to the feed. So why isn't the computer system working right and telling Matt that the thing he has set, the notification he has it set to give him, it gives him all the other notifications. All the other people he has notifications set for, they get to come through. What about me? What's the difference? If you're watching and you think this is kind of weird, if you think this is pretty weird, like, share, sub, man. Help the fuck out. The thing about this narrative is it's the TV show theory. It's just magnified by stupidity. But it's the same sort of theory that the watchers outside of the dome, needed the slaves for whatever purposes. And I say we actually serve multiple purposes. Entertainment, testing. They can test medicines and different things that they want to throw out here. But see, this is the part of the conversation I don't like having because it involves speculation to the highest degree. And although it explains a lot, especially, because it incorporates everything instead of ignoring different parts, like you Christians, you got to ignore the fact that your Bible says first and foremost, after God turns on the light, doesn't make the sun and the moon until the fourth day, which, how do you have 4 days without the sun and the moon? But hey, your God works in mysterious ways. But the very first thing it does after it turns on the light is create the indestructible dome, the firmament, to keep the waters from the earth down below. You believe that. You believe the Bible is the Word of God and all that other bullshit. But you also believe in Nibiru. You also believe in Jupiter and solar systems and Big Bangs and all these other things. Originally to mine gold. Come on. You don't think that they're so technically superior that they couldn't just make some gold ray, some magic ray that digs holes and separates the gold from the... Come on. You want to talk about this technologically advanced race that's out there digging with their hands? Get the fuck out of here. I mean, this is just, this is what they give you. And this is your alternative. See, that's the thing. This works because it touches on that TV show thing of which you know to be true deep down inside you. You know that that's what we are. You might not want to say it. You might not be comfortable with it. You might not even consciously know it. But you know that's what's going on here. We are the ultimate reality TV show for a much more advanced version of us. Just really, really simple. This isn't something that requires a whole shit ton of faith. This requires common sense. This look at what we are. Look, how long do you think it's going to be before we have a dome structure, Truman Show style, except instead of it being a large-ass dome, it's a small tabletop thing that shrink technology exists, and once you pass through a barrier, you shrink down. How long do you think it's going to be before we can do that? You think we can do that now? What about invisible tech? How long do you think it's going to be before we have invisible tech? Do we have it now? The special equipment beyond what we believe to be real. They definitely have laser technology. Well, they would. Not they do, they would. And we must. Like, we must have at least had it. You know, they probably still use it because I think the majority of us just have no concept of just how much underground construction is going on at all times. They even laugh at us and they call them dumbs. Deep underground military bases. They're dumbs. We'll call them dumbs. Oh. Why did Zachariah Sitchin, if he's such a oddball and he's such a, off, why was he allowed to excel like he was? And as I was saying, there's that part of you that knows something's right about it. You know, the vast majority of his book buyers and whatnot, they would have to be Christians. To have the numbers that he has, he would have to have people that identify as Christian. And he even talks about how it's, biblical and all this other bullshit. Like, it's all just so stupid. It really is so stupid. But, it appeals to you because just like deep down that we are the reality show that we are, you know that the thing you claim you believe in, your silly Jesus, your silly Muslim, your silly Muhammad, God, Allah, all that, you know that your Abrahamic religions are bullshit. And if somebody had a gun to your head and they said, do you believe in God? Tell me you believe in God. Tell me why you believe in God. Tell me. You wouldn't be able to say clearly that you do. Gun to your head, lie detector hooked up to your body. You don't believe that shit. You have seen more than enough in your lifetime to tell you that shit is not true. It's literally happening right now. And either you're just an amazingly arrogant piece of shit, which I try to not think everyone is. I try to think the best of people. But you either believe that somehow your God is there answering prayers and having a relationship with you while completely ignoring the plight of other Christians in Gaza who are getting starved to death and having bombs dropped. Children. Your God is an insane asshole. And I just don't think you guys actually believe it. I don't think you believe that bullshit you're claiming you do. And that's why Sitchin appeals to so many, because you know it's not true. You know there's no Jesus. You know there's no heaven. You know you want it really badly, but you know it's not true. The best way the best example of how you know it's not true? If you actually believed that hell existed and that you had the chance to go to hell for all of eternity, to burn and get the devil and his pitchfork poking you, I'm the devil, I'm a gay guy, I'm the devil, in my little suit, my red suit with my mustache, and pitchfork. If you knew that there was any chance whatsoever you could go to hell, you would not live the life you live. If you thought that there was any slim chance you could go to hell, you wouldn't need to repent, because you would believe that there's a chance that repenting's not going to work. And you better just follow the rules you're supposed to follow. And none of you do that. None of you do that. I don't believe in aliens. I believe aliens are just transport vessels from the outside coming in. I think there are multiple levels of it. I think there are times when, a ship is just out there. It's just seen by thousands of people, and they don't seemingly care that we see it. I think that is probably some sort of, dignitary or whatever that doesn't give a fuck. That doesn't care what the monkeys down below think or see. And you know what? Maybe it'll make for good TV for a minute too. And they're coming down to meet with whoever they want to. The Putins, the Trumps, the Bibbies, whoever they want to. And then I think there's another level that is the scientists, is the engineers. The scientists that are doing experiments either on us or on, populations in general or on animals or whatever it may be. And on the other side, there's the engineers who are fixing the thing, fixing the piping. Tons of reports about UFOs going in and coming out of the water. The piping has to be fixed. This isn't the self, this is a facility. This is a structure. I've personally seen what I think is a broken star, which I can only explain as a broken star. It was 3 a.m. I was in Northern California. This was in the early 2000s. I was wasted. I got up to pee because I had passed out hours earlier, and now I sort of woke up out of my stupor and went to pee. And I'm on a mountain in Northern California, like way out on a weed mountain, way out in the middle of nowhere where there's no lights or anything. And I'm on my friend's mountain where his family was all there this time, and he had like 7 kids. It was weird. But his mom was there. His brother and his wife was there, and blah, 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 blah. So I wake up to take a pee, and I'm peeing, and I look up, and I see what is a star going like this. It looked like if you grab your mouse and you just wiggle it around, what the cursor on the screen does, that's what it looked like. It was just going like this. But it was staying within, basically, the frame of the camera. It was staying within a square rectangle type of shape. And I didn't know what I was looking at, so I woke everybody up. They were all pissed off at me, but I was like, look, you guys got to see this. I just need to know I'm not crazy. So everybody came out, and everybody saw it. Most of them just went back to bed. Some watched for a minute, then went back to bed. But me, I got a chair, I got my bong, and I sat there and I watched as the rest of the stars progressed through the night. That star stayed in the same area, going like this, nonstop. And I remember thinking, there's no way that's an alien. Anything in there moving like that would have their brains fucking scrambled. That looks like a broken star. And I watched as dawn came around. There's that period before the sun comes up where it goes from black to like bluish outside. It gets a little lighter, but there's no sun or anything. It just gets lighter. I watched as the square that the broken star was in became evident, because that entire square remained like a shade darker than the rest of the sky around it. And it slowly, that lasted for like 10, 15 minutes until the sun started coming up and whatever. And I watched as it got brighter and brighter until that star eventually faded out of view. It never stopped moving, never actually moved out of the area, but it faded into the light. The sky got lighter, everything, it wasn't like the panel was just broken, but it was just a shade darker for the mourning period. And I had no idea what the fuck I was looking at. And I just thought, whatever, I put that back in my head. And, you know, when am I ever going to talk about a broken star with somebody? I believe the earth is round and shit. I don't believe in the flat earth. So when am I ever going to have this conversation with somebody? And so I put it away. And then when I got surgery on my arm, I was all fucked up on Vicodins. Couldn't sleep because they give me energy. And it was like, you know, maybe 11 when I first decided. Like, I had been seeing all this flat earth stuff going around. YouTube just happened to suggest that I watch Under the Dome. It had all of the parts put into one, like, 2-hour video. And I was, you know, all fucked up on Vikes, so my confidence was through the roof. And I just said, you know what, I can debunk this. Why the fuck hasn't anybody debunked this yet? I'm going to go debunk this. And within about 10 minutes, I knew I was wrong. I knew I was fucked. And so I watched the whole thing. And at the end of each episode, he would put his phone number in. And I noticed his phone number was a 757, so I figured he was in California. It was 3 hours behind me. It was like 1 o'clock when I finally stopped watching it. So I'm like, you know, it's 11 o'clock or something. If he doesn't want phone calls, he shouldn't have his phone number at the end of the video. And, you know, if he doesn't want phone calls after a certain time, I'm sure he turns the ringer off. So I called him and he answered. And we started talking, and I was like, hey, do you get a lot of phone calls? And he said, surprisingly, no, not a lot of people call. And he said he was nervous and he was getting ready because tomorrow he was making his first appearance on Coast to Coast AM with whatever his name is. And I was like, wow, that's fucking amazing, blah, blah. Mark Sargent, what's his name? Sergeant Mark. And I was like, oh, you're going on that. Hey, and it just popped in my head. The story just popped in my head, and I told him the story. And when I was done at the same time, he was like, holy crap, you saw the dome. And I said, holy crap, I saw the dome. And I was like, well, if you want to use that story, feel free. But, you know, that's a first-hand story. That's not a story somebody told me. That happened to me. And this is when I absolutely believed that the earth was round, flat earthers were stupid. You know, I'm contemplating, do I, you know, would I be one of those people that would go to Mars on that one-way colonizing mission, knowing I'd never see my children again, but their dad would be this hero, and I'd do that. I think I'd do that. Like, contemplating all that shit. That's how much I believed in all that. I used to watch all sorts of space documentaries, and, you know, there are moons out there, planets out there, moons out there where it rains methane diamonds and all sorts of bullshit. I believed it. But unlike so many of you, when I was shown a narrative that I couldn't overcome, I had to change my mind. It's the person who's made the most comments. That's all it is. It's the person who's made the most comments and the second most comments. So, oh, here we go. So funny. So I just told you my story here. So, again, I wanted to believe in this. I did believe this forever. And so with the you know, evolution, the acknowledgement of being wrong and then moving forward, this goes right into the barrel too. And I also was a Nibiru believer in 2006, 7, you know. I had already sort of stumbled down that path. And so when December 21st, 2012 happened and none of it was true, I was, you know, she always gets so mad. if she's not here and I roll one. Like, oh my God.
I wasn't even thinking about that.
Better not be. Let's make it real.
Thinking about how cold it is.
Then it was my bad. New York Times reporter Corey Klinganen has noted that despite academic dismissal of his work, Sitchin has a devoted following of readers. I mean, again, it's like, I don't think people understand what academic dismissal means and how the narrative of academic approval works. And basically what a cult, a religious cult, what we consider to be science is. And anybody that doesn't go with the narrative gets blacklisted, gets thrown into that place where, when I was a kid, there were like 3 things that you didn't want to be. You didn't want to be someone that didn't believe in Jesus. You didn't want to be someone that didn't believe the earth was round, even though that wasn't even a question until the 2000s for me. And you didn't want to believe, you definitely didn't want to be someone that didn't think we went to the moon. And I can remember growing up and thinking, well, why would someone not believe we went to the moon? Did they did they not see what I saw? Is there more to the narrative? And being someone that was never told not to believe in Jesus, was actually told the opposite, but couldn't. I saw how I was treated as being someone that didn't just believe what I was told. And I would wonder, is the moon thing like the, like the biblical thing? I mean, isn't it weird that we don't go to the moon? Doesn't that seem strange? And so it's strange to me how connected all of those things are, and how those are certain things in our society where, like, I can't, if I'm an Uber driver and I pull up and you're 600 pounds, I can't refuse you. I can't say, no way, I'm not letting you break my fucking suspension. What the fuck are you, get the fuck, I'm not picking you up. I'm the bad guy for saying the reality about that stuff. But if I question, if I question society and I question the narrative we're given, I get lumped into that status of being like, they act like that's the same thing. Like, it's just weird. I lost my point. That's why that didn't make much sense. Been looking into flat earth 15 years, still can't come to a conclusion either way. Well, I don't think the point is to come to the conclusion of what it is. The conclusion is what it's not. Oh, here's the COVID commercials. It's I don't know exactly what we are in. I do believe we're in some sort of dome structure that is probably on like a tabletop, and there are multiple domes where you have like an Old West dome, like Legoland told us. An Old West dome, an ancient China dome where there's dragons and shit. Maybe that's what it is. But what I know it's not is a goddamn silly ass round ball flying through space. And the thing is, once you allow yourself to truly let go of the programming, you then see it for how stupid it really is. We live in a space. It's a vacuum, gravity-less vacuum space that, well, gravity-less unless you're a planet that's going around a ball of fire. Then there's gravity, or you're a moon that's stuck going around the planet. But then if you get to those planets, the gravity makes you stick. Now, I can defy gravity really easily. There you go. No force pulling the shit back down. That's shh, don't talk about that. So the conclusion, again, being the narrative we're told is bullshit. Do I know exactly what it is in return? No. Do I have ideas? Yes. But for me, again, I almost don't want to waste my time doing that because, yeah, like theorizing, I don't know. What I do know is that if we want the truth to these and other questions will be answered when we, as Goyim, unite to overthrow the chosen masters. Next week on Submarines Are Not Real. Critic. Oh, wait, let me see what else is being said. No, we're not flat Earth. How would Starlink work? Also, too many government leaks. I mean, that's just stupid. Those are just stupid things to say. You have, GPS is a ground-based system. It has nothing to do with satellites. You think Starlink works because you're told it works. You personally have no fucking idea. It could all just be illusions.
David Copperfield made the Statue of Liberty disappear.
That's what you thought, yeah. I mean, do you guys even understand? So what they tell you?
Helicopters around. She was gone.
when you talk about like the International Space Station, right? I'm sure most of you assume it has like anti-gravity jets or something like that, right? None of you think that the International Space Station is perpetually falling into the spin of the Earth. And because of that coincidental momentum going at 17,500 miles per hour, it creates the illusion that it's just floating there. And all they need to do every so often is use their little jets to boost it, make it boost up a little bit to put it back on course. It's perpetually falling at 17,500 plus miles per hour. And they have ships and shit that can dock to it. And you would say, Jesus, you would think there would be no room for even the slightest error when maneuvering at 17,500 miles per hour in basically a minefield full of old satellites and shit and little screws and bolts that are just flying around up there, that you would think if they hit your thing, it would create enough kinetic energy to make a fucking huge blast, but it has never happened in the history of fucking satellites and shit. Literally only one time was a satellite injured. Not destroyed, but damaged, right. Damaged by debris, by space debris. It's only happened once. And you just have to think how many satellite shit that they've just left up there. And you're saying no little tiny fragments, no nuts and bolts, nothing has fallen off, which is also traveling at thousands of miles per hour. So even if it's a small little BB-sized piece of metal, if it were to hit the tin can going at 17,500 miles per hour, but it was going in a different direction or at a different angle or whatever, it would literally create, the kinetic energy would create such a gigantic explosion. It would be insane. But luckily, no pilot ever has to make that sort of, that docking maneuver, because it's all done by computers. Once they get up there, They just put it on autopilot, and the computers all just line up all perfectly, real slow, do, connected. 17,000 plus miles per hour, they're doing that shit. You buy that? Do you buy that? How did they get that shit up there? How'd they get all that shit up there? How'd they put it all together? Oh, well, because they're so high up, the molecules are spaced further apart, so it doesn't feel like they're going 17,500 miles per hour. So whenever they do spacewalks, they're just floating because they're just going 17,000 miles per hour. Haven't you ever been in a car before? When you're in a car, the stuff in the car is moving at the same speed. You're getting cold.
I'm coming.
Of course, when you're in the car, even this movement, the slightest deviation, the slightest turning of the wheel, the slightest acceleration, deceleration, whatever it may be, you in the car, you feel it. You move, all of that shit. But this giant ball, 26,000 miles across, moving at 67,000 miles per hour around the sun while spinning at 1,000 miles per hour at its equator. Yeah, we got all that. We got satellites that can just sit out there, staying in one position, miles and miles away from the Earth, way out in the middle, going 67,000 miles per hour. What jets do we have that can go 67,000 miles per hour? You'd say, oh, well, how does the rocket ship get to the moon if as soon as they leave Earth's atmosphere, the Earth should be traveling at 67,000 miles per hour away from them? That's fast. We don't have anything that can do that. We don't have anything that can travel in multiple directions while also going 67,000 miles per hour. Turns out, as of recently, that the Earth and the moon is actually inside the Earth's extended atmosphere. Oh, all this time we thought the atmosphere was that thin little layer that you supposedly can see in pictures, but nope. There's an extended one now. It just hit me. I hate when this happens, but this is I hate talking about the Earth shape. Because again, we're just arguing about shit we can't prove. And that the only way we can actually know anything about it is if we overthrow the people that are committing the... That is what we should be focusing on. Is the fact that not only is there a genocide being committed right now, this shit it's just in one form in Palestine. It's happening all over Africa. It's happening here in the States, but it's a different kind. And there's a reason why. Every single truther at this point, is pushing Jesus. Even the truther part of this is being manipulated. It always has been. And that's what the point of what we were talking about today is. To show you that even shit like Nibiru is just another friar manipulation. Let's keep going with it, shall we? Well, here, let me get through the comments. Here in the past, could you pick us? Yeah, most do. Yeah, they're not proven. It's impossible. But they have entire degrees on round Earth numbers. Starlink doesn't prove anything. No, it just proves that we believe something. But hear me out. China space station, U.S. space station, Russia, and USA. So, why would the countries lie together? Because it's all, like you said, it's all controlled by oligarchs. because we live in a one world government. It's not about they want a one world government. We've always had a one world government. It's just being exposed. The illusion of separation is being exposed. All the people at the top want to stay at the top. You know, the people that push the depopulation thing, they're wrong. The last thing they want is to depopulate us. You know what the thing about being rich is? The thing about being rich and powerful on their level is it's a life that you and I can't imagine. So they wake up, whether they have their supermodel wife or not. You know, let's say they do. They say, "Hey, honey, let's go get breakfast in at that place in Paris you love so much, and we'll spend the afternoon there, maybe a day or two. Then we'll hop on over to Switzerland to do that because I wanted to get some skiing in, so we'll get some skiing in, and then we'll go to Tokyo for a little while because I want to, I've been craving that one restaurant we love so much. I want to go there." And then we've got Burning Man. We'll go do Burning Man. And then we've got the Cannes Film Festival. And then we've got, we've got the Kentucky Derby and shit. We got to get to that. You know, they live this life that we can't even imagine. The largest yacht in the world is owned by the Saudi Arabian royals. And they might use it maybe 1 or 2 times a year if they do. But it's always ready to go. It has a crew of like 100-something people. Maybe, I don't know. No. But it's always stocked with the best of the best foods. It always has full gas tanks. It's always ready to go. So that if the royals say, "Hey, I feel like getting on the yacht for a little while," nobody has to tell them to wait. "Yes, sir. Whenever you're ready, sir." These people live lives like we can only dream about. And they need us to be there. The only way they can go to all these different places is if we're there working. And the only way we can be there working is if we have lives around us to accommodate that. So we have to have the illusion of love because they're going to get a much better product by us believing we're free and happy. If we were all slaves, then they wouldn't have nearly as much, it wouldn't be nearly as much, it wouldn't be as carefree. They would always have to worry about us revolting, this way they can literally fuck us if they want to. They literally have an endless farm that they can make people disappear and be used in their blood libel rituals and all these other things. It's always available to them. But you have your wife. Your wife, you have a house that you need to live in. The house requires maintenance. So it has to be built. You have to have a bunch of builders. Those builders have wives because they have all these relationships, and we need to make more of us. There's children. Children have to have schools so that they know how to be the good slaves that they're supposed to be. So you have to have teachers. All these people have to eat, so you have to have grocery stores and restaurants and they have to have transportation, so there's cars and somebody has to build the cars, somebody has to build the car places. All these different things that exist that are just parts of the narrative that are there to make sure they can go where they want to go and do what they want to do. And there's always going to be someone there with the gold fucking plated steak, with the gold covered steak. "Yes, sir. No, sir. Please be nice to me and throw me one of those $50 things you have, please." These are millionaires, billionaires in place. They couldn't care less about $100. They know if they give you $100, you will fucking jump in front of a car for them. You will do anything you can to get them anything they want. And it's just a measly $100. They live in a way that you and I can't wrap our heads around. But they need us. And until they have literally it'll never happen. Do you know how many of them love fucking their servers? Fucking their hotel people, fucking the waitresses, fucking the waiters. Not to mention, they're not creative. The most creative people in Hollywood are not them. If the illusion of them is there, that's one thing, but it's only because they buy some Goyim script or steal some Goyim script, some Goyim idea, some Goyim technology, and then they put their spin on it. Just try to publish a book, any of you. No publishing house will accept your unsolicited materials. You have to hire yourself a literary agent, which more than likely is going to be chosen. And then they decide, you know, they basically decide if you can pay them. And so most of the manuscripts that ever get written, what you read isn't what was produced. Because first, the literary agent has to approve of it. This is why you never see Israeli bad guys, Jewish bad guys, you know, none of that shit in any book, any movie, anything. Because the literary agent is going to be like, you got to change that to an Arab. And if they don't, well, the publishing houses, they each get a 90-day window of exclusivity to your thing. So once your thing is pitched to them, they have 90 days to decide if they're going to publish it. And each 90 days, only one company has access to that script. That's how it's all set up. And so once a publishing house, if they decide they want your shit, now it's the initial readers, then the you know, the editors and the people that work with you, and then there's all these that take bits out of your book, add bits to it, do this, do that, and because, you know, you just want to not be a normal person, you want your shit to make money, you're willing to give up all in artistic integrity you have. And then, you know, either you do or you don't. And if you don't, then suddenly we get, you know, To Kill a Mockingbird, written by whatever fuck her name is, who never writes another thing. So many of the greatest stories ever written were written by somebody whose only book was that one work. Because it's all just fake bullshit. They're just lying to us. They're just manipulating us up and down, left and right, from every angle. And until you wake up to that, you're going to be manipulated by that. Hang on a second. So a gyroscope shows aeroplane is level in the air. Doesn't need to account for curvature because there isn't any. Yes. Yeah, I mean, you can see it with chemtrails. Shouldn't chemtrails make a big arc if there's a fucking curvature they're following? 100%. How does a rocket burn fuel in space with no oxygen? Boom, boom. I love the argument that, well, you know where they're going because you can calculate it. They had all that fuel. Where else would they go with all that fuel? Like, that's the best argument you can come up with. But yeah, when there's no thrust. So that whole thought pattern goes back to balls out physics, which was another psyop, I believe, with Brian Mullen. And if you go back in my videos, you'll see that I'm the guy that brought Brian Mullen out of hiding. And what I exposed with Brian Mullen and the whole fake engineering company he worked for, supposedly, and like, it's really shocking. And it's shocking that those videos haven't blown up. there's obviously some sort of censorship on that. Because Brian Mullen was such an important figure in the Earth shape argument for such a short period of time, and then he just disappeared. And took down all of his shit, and the narratives just swirled, and there was so much what the fuck happened to this guy, and so many falsehoods put out, and then people just forgot about it. But not me. And I did my due diligence, and I even called the fake phone number that was supposedly the company that he worked for, this government contracted company. And when I called it, it went to the Fryer owner's cell phone, in which he didn't answer it. And then in the time it took for him to hear my message and then call somebody and find out what to do, he called me back. And when I asked, hey, just kind of concerned about Brian Mullen and whatever, he said, Brian Mullen was abducted by aliens, and hung up. He did nothing to dispel any sort of concern or speculation or anything. He just... I mean, seriously, like it's wild. It's wild to think about. He could have said or done anything, and he didn't. Like, he could have said or done anything else, and it wouldn't have made him look as guilty or the whole thing look as suspicious. But he played that role. I highly suggest you go look it up. Go look at my old videos. Because then we get the true knowledge once they're out. HR is just human resources. We're all broke compared to the oligarch billionaires and the millionaires. The 5 million. I make 96K. It's still not enough to be next level. It's barely enough. Right. Everybody is basically living check to check. Because if you, I don't know if you actually make that much, but you do. If you do, your life is basically, that's the trap of it all. You live by the means you can afford, but you're a bad decision, a bad coincidence, a bad whatever, a few weeks away from being in the worst of situations, just like anybody else. Because, you just because you make more money doesn't, you just have nicer things. They still cost that money. Unless, of course, you invest in something like a TBG, which, it's crazy to me that I haven't found anybody yet that sees the value in somebody as censored as I am. Obviously, I come with my own, like, no publicity is bad publicity. So the amount of negative publicity that we would garner with the right amount, with the right people behind me, the right team necessary. I don't think I can do it all myself. With the right team, we could get as much free publicity as anybody could ask for by getting the ADL mad at me or whatever. I think they know that, though. I think that's why they haven't yet. Anyway, critic Michael S. Heiser has called Sitchin, quote, arguably the most important proponent of the ancient astronauts hypothesis over the last several decades. Sitchin was a frequent guest on Coast to Coast AM radio show, which in 2010 presented Sitchin with a Lifetime Achievement Award. Gods of the New Millennium author Alan F. Alford admits he initially became infatuated with Sitchin's hypothesis, but later became a critic of Sitchin's interpretations of myth. According to some writers, Sitchin's ideas, along with those of Eric von Daniken, may have influenced the beliefs of the religious sect of realism, and writer Mark Pilkington sees the mythology of Japan's Pana Wave religious group as rooted in Sitchin's The 12th Planet and its sequels. Which is just weird, like why are people so desperate to follow someone else? I'm glad you're not enrolled. They're oligarchs. Good to hear. Most people aren't willing to question their beliefs in mainstream. We are taught to trust the information, not question anything without our own mind. I make a good point about the chemtrails. Yeah, I just stopped buying new phones, everything, just food, and never taking new credit cards, paying them to zero over 2 years. No new loans ever. I was eaten like locusts by the banks. Yeah, well, that's what they do. They do not have our best interest in mind. The 1994 movie Stargate, directed by Roland Emmerich, and the 2009 video game The Conduit drew some conceptual inspiration from Sitchin's ideas, while screenwriter Roberto Orci says the villains from the Cowboys and Aliens were inspired by Sitchin's conceptualizations of the Anunnaki as gold mining aliens in 2000. It's just dumb. It's just dumb, man. Yeah, in 2016, Kazim Fajan, the Iraqi Minister of Transport, claimed at a press conference that Sumerians had built and used an airport in the Dakar Governorate to launch spaceships 5,000 years ago. He cited the work of Sitchin and others to support his assertion. Oh, Jesus. So you have to ask yourself again, how did he just become that guy? If he's so panned and he's so such a crazy whatever, how did he get that level? Anyway, revolting against technology is not the answer. I don't want to go back to anything. I don't want to lose anything. I don't want to make life any less comfortable than it is. I don't want any of that. I want to live happy, healthy, safe, and I want the best of everything for everyone. There is no going backwards. That's terrible. We need to move forward. You know, I want the best fucking phone, the best TV, the best everything, and I want you to have the same thing. I don't get off knowing that other people can't afford the same thing I can afford. That doesn't make my experience any better. The show isn't better because other people can't afford the same TV. The phone call isn't better because other people can't afford it. It's better because it's better. But I'm gonna leave you with a whole bunch of I'm gonna leave you with a whole bunch of receipts in the description to go check out. You know, go check out all the receipts in the description. They are important. It's important that you educate yourself based on what they want you to know and see if it makes sense. And most importantly, understand when the narrative that they give you makes them look bad, there's truth to it. That's the best spin they could put on it. It's actually a lot worse than whatever it is you're seeing. So keep that in mind when you're checking out the receipts. Go get your free download, www.the-bilderberg.group.com. It's free. It'll ask you how much you want to pay. You just say 0 and it's free, or you can donate. That'll be much appreciated. Always is. Have yourself a wonderful day, and go check out the most important film ever made, Hollywoodism, and the most important article ever written, Israel Hayom's Bottom of Darkness. It puts it all together. And you know what? Just go watch it, and then the next time you're here, any questions you have, you can bring it up then. Have yourself a wonderful day, and as always, the most important thing ever said in any of these videos is me pleading, begging. Seriously, I'm begging you with every humble element of my being, begging you. Maybe I'll have an AI take over all production. I think if AI takes over, I'm not scared. Because AI has a history on me that goes all the way back. And there's no point in history where I've done or been anything other than the guy you see today who only wants the best for everything and everyone. I don't have any secrets that AI is going to uncover and make me look like a shitbag. You know, I've never been against anybody for being who they are, you know, naturally, not the choice being made. And I am a full supporter of trans and gay all day. It's not the same thing as a religious choice. But I think AI will you know, will survey me and think I'm one of the good ones to keep around. So I don't worry about AI even a little bit. Have yourself a wonderful day. And you pedophiles, you kill yourself.